But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. They were too fast to get out there.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0
doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? This show's live. It's Tuesday night, and this is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Of course, those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and that just bizarre overall feeling that we live in a state of the upside down. We are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on The Fringe FM, and if you'd like to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. That's a Las Vegas area code. That is where we're streaming from. That's where we're talking about all of these crazy and interesting topics. And we also have a Discord server running. So if you want to be part of the Discord, you can join there at troubledminds.org. That's the official website of the show. Phone number is right on top. If you want to call in tonight, there's no need to remember the phone number. Just remember the website, troubledminds.org. Right there on top, you get the phone number, you get the Discord link. You can be on the show either way, and it's all good no matter what's happening here. So as you know, this is the show where we do all those things. Like I said, we talk about all kinds of interesting news that kind of pops up and try and keep it current and relevant to what's happening, but we skip all of the BS, most of the politics, unless it's actually infringing on freedom and things like that. We'll kind of bring up topics like that now and then, which is not on deck tonight. We've got some other space considerations on deck tonight. We're going to be talking about Mars. If anybody knows, there's been a lot of brand new things happening on the red planet. So this evening, that's what the topic is going to be, and we'll get there. And there's lots of things you might find well, probably beyond interesting. But okay, so that's what's on deck tonight. And again, like I said, we're streaming on DLive, YouTube, and Facebook. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. I'm Mike. This is Troubled Minds, and let's do it. Let's talk about what's happening on Mars. So today, actually, the news is popping hard and heavy about this Mars helicopter. Maybe many of you have seen this. Maybe many of you have not. That's okay. That's why we're here to kind of talk about it and maybe complete your day with some news that you didn't really get a look at. But just recently, okay, let's just read this. This is what happened, right? We've all read the news in the past couple weeks about the Perseverance rover and how it was approaching Mars, and it was, entering orbit, and then it had the successful landing. We talked about all these things on the show in the past, kind of as they happened, but just really in brief. We didn't really talk about what's happening on Mars as the official story goes, right? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and then we'll talk about the unofficial story, of course, because that's what we do on this show. but okay, so this is kind of the news happening today as it is. So the actual the helicopter, that NASA's Mars helicopter, is slowly unfolding beneath the Perseverance rover. Okay, and this is what we're looking at tonight, and this is the brand new news. This is from 4 hours ago, and this is space.com. So as always, you guys know I like to share my sources, so I'm gonna link these sources in the chat so you guys can follow up and read this stuff and find where I got this information from, because it's important to me that you know the sources, one, so you know I'm not making things up, and two, so you can double check me, because of course the information that could be propaganda, right? And that's why we get together and talk about these things, because you just never know how much is true anymore with the news cycle. That's just really a bunch of garbage. I mean, if we're being honest, right? The more you listen to the news, the more you realize it's just a bunch of clickbait cooked up in a lab to make you to brainwash you, basically, to brainwash you and to brainwash me. So anyway, this is from space.com. I linked it in all the chats, and you guys can, again, as always, I appreciate if you follow up on me in these sources. But this is from space.com, written by an individual by the name of Elizabeth Howell. 4 hours ago, and NASA's Mars helicopter is slowly unfolding beneath the Perseverance rover. And let's read just a little bit of this. NASA's Perseverance rover is slowly getting ready to deploy the first helicopter on Mars, even as it takes a look back at the litter it's dropping on the red planet. The rover, which was carefully sterilized on Earth to avoid contaminating Mars with microbes, dropped a protective debris shield onto the planet's surface on March 21st. The shield is no longer needed, as it was designed to protect Ingenuity during the 7 minutes of terror landing in February. An image from the Watson, the Wide-Angle Topographic Sensor for Operations and Engineering, that would be WATSON. You got to love the acronyms, right? So that's what the camera is called on the rover's robotic arm, shows the debris shield safely on the surface of Jezero Crater, which is where this rover actually landed, right? This is the Perseverance rover, and so this is not brand new. This is maybe a couple weeks old, this news. So no big deal. Not that we have to have piping hot news all the time, but the real news from today, though, is that this thing is actually getting ready to deploy the helicopter. If you guys have actually seen this, a little bit wacky with the information that's coming out, and so here's the thing. We sent a rocket from Earth to Mars. It landed safely. It deployed a rover named Perseverance, which is driving around on Mars, sending back photographs. You guys have probably seen lots of photographs on Mars recently, because that's what it's doing. It's taking these photographs and sending them back, okay? Now, today, it actually is deploying this helicopter, like an actual helicopter that will fly on Mars. And I guess helicopter is more of an Earth term, right? I mean, this is more like a drone with a propeller, with one propeller type of thing. So, sure, fine. It's a Mars helicopter, I guess, but it's really small. Anyway, we'll get to some of those details in a sec. But here we go. So so the helicopter is stowed sideways in this actual Perseverance rover, folded up and locked in place. So there's some reverse origami to do before it can set down. So they have to drop it down, they have to unfold it, and it's about to, in the coming days, we don't know exactly when, but the thing's going to take off into the Martian air and start sending back photographs, right? Now, how amazing is that? All right. And I know, so as far as an engineering perspective from sending something from this planet to Mars, it's amazing. Like it's, well, you know, if you believe this thing is true. There are some in the conspiracy community, of course, that think this is all just a big show and it doesn't exist. And this is like the desert in Canada or Nevada somewhere. And this is all fake. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are people in the community that believe these things. So, okay. So anyway, so as always, it doesn't matter what I believe. It only matters what you believe. So let's talk about this. So they have to unwrap this thing in the, or like origami, like they said. And let's see, here we go. Before it can set down. First, though, I'll be off to the designated helipad a couple days drive from here. The Perseverance team wrote on Twitter, and this was a few days back. But today they're actually deploying the thing, which means they're dropping it from underneath the rover that's driving around on Mars, number one. And two, it's unfolding. It's beginning this process to where it's going to be able to lift off. So the rover has driven to a safe place in Jezero Crater where it's going to be flat. They're calling it like a helipad type situation where it's extremely flat. So this thing has a great chance of taking off and not crashing. And of course, right, if we're talking about deploying things on other planets, millions of miles away, well, you know, we always have the unfortunate things that happen from time to time called, you know, crash and burn. So here's hoping this thing actually takes off and doesn't like scrub and, you know, break its propeller on the first flight or whatever. But pretty good stuff. This is the news of the day. This is what's actually happening out there on Mars. And if you guys have been paying any amount of attention, this is exciting news. This is definitely exciting news, considering that we've never actually had, even on the moon, anything that could fly, supposedly, right? Any kind of rover. We have, right now, we've got China on the dark side of the moon with their Chang'e 4 rover, which we've talked a lot about on this show. And, you know, there's been little rovers driving around. Planets, Mars, they say, the moon, they say. But we've never actually had a helicopter deployed on an alien planet and be able to take off, which we're kind of crossing our fingers on and waiting on bated breath that this is going to happen and not crash and burn. So there we go. That's the news of today. They're actually deploying this thing. It's unfolding from beneath the actual rover itself. And in the coming day or couple days, I'm not exactly sure when, they're going to deploy this thing. I think they're not even exactly sure when, because they have to do all the checks and make sure everything's, you know, functioning properly and all the rest of that stuff. So anyway, actually, here we go. The Ingenuity helicopter is expected to attempt its first flight as soon as April 8th. And that's assuming everything goes right with this. And this is according to NASA. And it will be the first time an aircraft will attempt to fly through another world's atmosphere. Quote, "A couple more drives should get me there," the tweet added. That's the rover itself with the Twitter account kind of live tweeting to the world as the mission is going down. But this is interesting times, right? Like we got all kinds of bizarre geopolitical stuff going on. We've got that Suez Canal fiasco. We've got Donald Trump was just president. You know, he's no longer president, so I don't mean to trigger anybody. You guys can all relax and take a deep breath. But it's definitely been, you know, we got the generational type events happening here. We've got the worldwide pandemic, you know, wink, wink, et cetera, so on. There's been a lot of things happen in the last several years here that are notable, right? That are, may you live in interesting times, as the saying goes, right? So, and today, that's what's happening. They're actually unpacking this helicopter to take its first flight on an alien planet. And that's what we're thinking about. That's what we're talking about. If you guys have takes on this, as always, I want to hear what you guys think about these things. Do you believe the information that comes from NASA? I think that's probably going to be the top question of the evening that I'd love to hear from you guys about. Some people don't believe we went to the moon. They say that we're not going to get into this type of stuff tonight, but they say the Van Allen belts and that the actual moon footage was shot by. What's the guy's name? Stanley Kubrick, right? I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracies floating around regarding those things, and I'm not sure how accurate or not accurate. I think that given just the amount of engineering we see here on Earth, I think that we should be able to give some credence and some credit to the people that have done some amazing things. And anyway, that's my take on it. But I want to hear your take. That's the most important thing here. Remember, I'm one person. I have one opinion. I'm not here trying to make you believe one thing or the other thing. I'm just hopefully trying to start a conversation and make you think a little bit. And as this information comes out, you'll see as this show actually progresses, there are people who absolutely refuse to believe that these things are real, or the things that they're showing us on Mars are real, and there's some huge cover-up of like an ancient alien civilization on Mars, right? So we'll get to that as we go tonight. But like I said, as we continue, the question of the night is this. There's a few actually, but the main one is, do you believe that the things NASA tells us are real? Okay, that's the first one. And then second, do you believe at some point in the past there was or there is life on Mars? And that could be, microbial, of course, which probably many of us believe that's a distinct possibility, I would imagine. I would venture to guess that's the case. But what about like an ancient advanced civilization that somehow had a cataclysm in the planet's past? We're talking about Mars, of course, and maybe went the way of the extinction event, the dinosaurs, or something to this effect, right? So we barely know a lot about Mars here, and we're just kind of getting going with the information that's being sent back. So I think that's the questions tonight. Do you believe what NASA's telling us regarding the moon missions? We can go back just a little bit into the Apollo stuff if you're interested in that. And do you believe that these photographs are accurate, that they're not hiding anything? There have been people who have pointed out, as we've seen in the past, as we've done this show. Actually, I think the very first week we started this show, which is 3 years ago now, this week, there was actually, we were kind of looking at photographs from Mars. We did a show on Mars. And there were, some compelling photographs that looked like they were, I don't know, maybe statues, maybe trees, maybe there's all kinds of things up there that we're looking at as just laymen, as interested parties. Most of us aren't scientists or astronomers or any of the rest of this, but it doesn't mean we can't look at these photographs and judge for ourselves what's up there, right? It's everything is not pareidolia. And unfortunately, that's kind of what they try and make us say or think, right? And so anyway, those are the questions tonight. If you want to be part of the show, love to hear from you at any point. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord at troubledminds.org. The phone number's at the top of the website. The Discord invite, top of the website. It's all there. All right, so here's what we got going. So April 8th is what they're aiming for to take off. Of course, that's if everything goes well. And it gets better. There's more to this Mars mission that you may or may not know. So let's take a look at this. Here's some interesting facts about this Mars helicopter. I'm going to link this again. And again, these are official sources that I'm linking tonight. So you'll see this is from the NASA, of course, nasa.gov, the website. And they're talking about the Mars helicopter, and it's reporting in, okay? And we'll read some of this. And let me drop all these links in the chat so you guys, as always, can follow along. Please double check me, triple check me. And there we go. All right. So let's read just a smidge of this. This is the helicopter quick facts, right? The name of this Mars copter, the helicopter, is named Ingenuity, which we all know we've talked about quite a bit. The job of this thing is going to be a technology demonstration to test the first powered flight on Mars. The helicopter rode to Mars attached to the belly of the Perseverance rover, and this was launched July 30th, 2020 at Cape Canaveral, and that's in Florida, and it landed February 18th, 2021. Just about, what is that? That's almost an entire year later, like 10 months, 9 months, something like that, and at the Jezero crater on Mars. So yeah, there we go. Scully in the chat says NASA stands for Never a Straight Answer, which we'll get to tonight, of course. So we'll get to some of this and some people who actually think that there's some spicy information being hidden on Mars from our prying eyes, right? So anyway, here we go. So the Mars helicopter Ingenuity is a technology demonstration to test powered flight on another world for the first time. It hitched a ride to Mars on the Perseverance rover, and once the rover reaches a suitable helipad location, which it just did today, by the way, it will release Ingenuity to perform a series of test flights over a 30 Martian day experimental window beginning in early April. For the first flight, the helicopter will take off a few feet from the ground, hover in the air for about 20 to 30 seconds, and land. That will be a major milestone, the very first powered flight in the extremely thin atmosphere of Mars. After that, the team will attempt additional experimental flights of incrementally further distance and greater altitude. After the helicopter exhibits its technology demonstration, Perseverance will continue its scientific mission. And we'll get into what that mission is and do the rest of this as we talk about this tonight. But I remember it was probably, 2.5 years ago, we were talking about the news that they were working on this particular helicopter. And I don't even think it had a name yet at that point, but it was a prototype, and they were actually discussing if it was possible to create something that could fly in the thin atmosphere of Mars. And apparently they've done it. They think they've done it. So like I said, cross your fingers. We're going to be watching in the next few days here that if this thing can actually take off. In my opinion, it would be amazing, right? Think about that. If anybody has a drone here on Earth, or you just seen drone footage, anything like that, it's incredible. The amount of just different looks you get, even in your own neighborhood, that you're used to seeing all the time. Once you take off into the sky and you have a camera looking down, things look quite a bit different, don't they? I think they do. I think it's fantastic that this is really happening, and I'm excited to see what kind of photographs they can send back once this thing actually takes flight in the Martian atmosphere. So that's what's going on tonight. That is what we're talking about. But again, as always, love to hear from you on your takes on this. Do you believe this is real? Like Scully said in the chat there, NASA stands for never a straight answer, and there's got to be some truth to that, because NASA's basically, in my opinion, they are the front of the secret space program, right? They're the PR version of a secret space program. And so, at some point, you have to think that a lot of the space things going on, the secret space stuff, is, it's all military. And unfortunately for us, we don't get the direct information on those types of things. We just kind of get what we're allowed to get. And so in that capacity, I think it's fair to categorize NASA as maybe a propaganda front for the secret space program, because there is a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. And we want answers, right? We want answers. You don't get answers if you don't ask the right questions. If you want to ask the right questions, you're in the right place, because that's what this show is all about. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We are discussing Mars, the Ingenuity helicopter that's deploying this week. April 8th, they say, will be the first test flight. But right now it is unfolding underneath the rover and getting ready for that first alien flight, which is history, right? If you believe this stuff is true and this is all real and good, then this is history in the making. We actually deployed the first actual aerial vehicle, I guess you could call it, on an alien planet. And that's huge. That's huge, right? But again, like I said, I'm open to the ideas that some things are being hidden from us, and that's why we're here talking about these things. So anyway, as I say this, and as we continue to talk about these things, love to hear from you guys tonight. We are talking about Mars. We're talking about Ingenuity, the helicopter that's ready to fly on Mars, of all places, if you believe what NASA's telling us. Like I said, I'm not here to try and convince you one way or the other. This is the question show. This is not the answer show. But what do you think? If you want to be part of the show tonight, what do you think about this mission? How much do you think NASA tells us is real? And do you think there was a civilization on Mars in the distant past? Those are the questions for tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about Mars tonight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Mars, more Troubled Minds, and more calls from you right after the break. Hang tight. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting on the Fringe FM. We're talking about Mars tonight, and we'd love to hear your take on NASA, the secret space program. How much should we believe from the propaganda machine? And do you believe there's life on Mars? If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're taking your calls, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Lots of information here. And like I said, as we kind of started this show and got into the first break here, there's a helicopter being deployed on the Red Planet. A first, like an actual first, right? Humanity has put an aerial vehicle on an alien planet. And just if you think in those terms, it's impressive, right? That's a heck of an impressive feat. Not just sending a rocket to crash into it, like we've done many times before, as we crashed and learned part of this, how to fly in space and the rest of these things. But what do you believe about this? Is NASA? Scully says NASA stands for Never a Straight Answer, and I concur a little bit in the fact that there's a military presence that's going on in space and has been for a very long time. And so, of course, we're not privy to that information, kind of like I was saying before we took the break here. So the information we do get is a, declassified, sanitized, watered down version of what's actually happening out there. And I don't think anybody can really refute that. That is just the fact of the matter. But where the conversation lies here is how much information are they keeping from us? I think that's the real trick here, right? And that's really what we're getting at tonight. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, if you want to be part of the show at any point, 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and you can come say hi to me and whoever else might be listening and give us your take on what's happening there. So okay, so let's go back to the Mars helicopter here real quick. There's a few things here. There's lots of information about this that is coming out recently because they're deploying this thing. It's actually beginning to fly April 8th, they say, and this is what's happening with on Mars. I figured I'd talk about this without Ash because he's probably super sensitive and landing things on his planet. So we'll get his take on the Mars copter tomorrow. So, but that's what's going on. That's what we're talking about tonight. So here we go. I'm gonna drop a couple links in here as always and talk about some of this stuff. And this is just more of the specs on the actual the helicopter, the drone, as you could call it, the Mars drone, the Mars helicopter, the Ingenuity. There's a lot of things you can call this, right? They're calling it the Mars helicopter, so I'll just go with that. I think it's just interesting to note that it's really not that big. So here we go. One of the biggest engineering challenges is getting the Mars helicopter's blades just right. This is information about the actual Ingenuity helicopter itself. So they need to push enough air downward to receive an upward force that allows for thrust and controlled flight, which is a big concern on a planet where the atmosphere is only 1% as dense as the atmosphere here on Earth. So right, that's definitely an engineering challenge if you're trying to run a helicopter in an atmosphere that you haven't been in, you haven't lived in. And so this is what we talked about a couple years ago, probably 2.5 years ago now, when Frank was on the show, when we very first started, that we were kind of talking about the engineering aspects of creating this helicopter that's going to be deployed on Mars. And just a short couple years later, here we are. This thing has supposedly landed and it's ready to take off. And so hopefully we're going to get some actual photographs soon in the next maybe couple weeks, which of course we'll keep an eye on. As you all know, as this stuff develops, we'll always be looking at it, always be talking about it. But interesting, right? This is definitely good stuff. So 2, it has to fly in the really thin Martian air. So to compensate for Mars' thin atmosphere, the blades must spin much faster than an on-Earth helicopter, and the blade size relative to the weight of the helicopter has to be larger too. The Mars helicopter's rotors measure 4 feet wide. That's about 1.2 meters for you metric types. I know we have people listening all over the world. So 4 feet wide, 1.2 meters long, tip to tip. At 2,800 rotations per minute, it will spin about 10 times faster than an Earth helicopter. So it has to work a lot harder just to get airborne in that thin atmosphere. So at the same time, the blades shouldn't flap around too much, as the helicopter's design team discovered during their testing. The solution, make the blades more rigid. All right, that sounds like an engineering solution if I've ever heard one. I know, let's make them so they don't flap around. The body, meanwhile, is tiny. Now, this is the interesting part. About the size of a softball, right? We're talking tiny. So in total, the helicopter will weigh just under 4 pounds. So this thing is really, really, really small. But it does have a camera on there, which is pretty sweet. So here's the thing that got me is as they're talking about the amount of flights this thing will make. Number 3 on the bullet point from NASA here. Over a 30-day period on Mars, the helicopter will attempt up to 5 flights, each time going further than the last. The helicopter will fly up to 90 seconds at a time at heights of up to 10 to 15 feet, which is 3 to 5 meters. Engineers will learn a lot about flying a helicopter on Mars with each flight, since it's never been done before. So this is the part that I read this when I was kind of going through the information before the show, and I was like, doesn't that seem disappointing? Just a little bit? Up to 5 flights, up to 5. So they're saying that this thing will only fly 5 times and that's it? I think that's a little disappointing. And not only that, heights of up to 10 to 15 feet. That's not that high. That's like, the height of a house. I was hoping, we'd be able to get that sucker up there and get some real photographs, So anyway, so they've already done tests on this. Here we go. The camera. The camera, they say, is as good as your cell phone camera. So the helicopter's first priority is successfully flying on Mars. So engineering information takes priority. An added bonus is its camera. The Mars helicopter has the ability to take color photos with a 13 megapixel camera, the same type commonly found in smartphones today. Engineers will attempt to take plenty of good pictures. Now, this is a little bit strange to me. Not that, if you guys want to be conspiracy theorists or whatever, but don't you think that, if we're going to spend how many millions, maybe $1 billion, I don't know how much they spent in total for this project, to send something up there, you'd send better than like a cell phone 13 megapixel camera? Anybody think that? I would hope that for, $1 billion or hundreds of millions of dollars that we could get a better camera. Come on, people, really? We want to see Mars. We don't want to, when we catch the UFOs up there, we want to make sure we get them in nice quality. So here we go. So the helicopter requires 360 watts of power for each second it hovers in the Martian atmosphere, equivalent to the power required by 6 regular light bulbs. So they say it's rechargeable. It isn't out of luck when its lithium-ion batteries run dry. A solar array on the helicopter will recharge the batteries, making a self-sufficient system as long as there is adequate sunlight. So that's a little more exciting. So they say up to 5 flights, maybe in its test run. So hopefully this thing can actually be up there for months or years, doing some quick test flights and sending back photographs. I think this is exciting. I don't know. Am I being a little too optimistic about the information they're giving us? Because, again, like I said, I think it's fair to say that NASA, in some capacity, is a propaganda front of our, military secret space program. It just is what it is. So that's the question tonight. How much do you believe we're being told from NASA is true? And are you excited about the thought of the actual Ingenuity helicopter flying on a Martian planet, on an actual extraterrestrial planet? Like I said, it's a feat. That's a heck of a feat, right? I think, just given all the things that has to happen just to get us to this point, it's amazing. It's nothing short of amazing. And so here we are talking about that tonight. I'd love to hear your take on this. How much should we believe from NASA? Number one. Number two, are you excited about this Ingenuity helicopter and the photographs that might come back here soon? And three, do you think that there's life on Mars? And, maybe, hopefully, with good photographs and a quick moving little vehicle, we're going to be able to maybe get some better glimpses of this instead of just having, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which we've had, satellites orbiting Mars, sending pictures back for a long time. But it's a little different to get photographs from the air, let's say 15 feet high as you're kind of cruising over the Martian crust, the red sand, as it were. Pretty good stuff. But what do you guys think? And should we expect to see some actual, evidence of Martian life? Or, do you think if that actually arises, do you think that would be covered up? There's some people that think it's very, very probably necessary that they're going to cover it up, right? And if anything kind of shows itself, it wouldn't be like breaking news, like, boop, 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 boop. Breaking news, we found, little critters on Mars, right? I just don't think it would happen that way. Do you? That's really the question tonight, and what we're talking about. This helicopter has landed on Mars. How excited are you, or do you think it's just another bunch of propaganda? And even if they find something up there, do you think they will scrub the information from the photographs, and we're not going to be able to decide or see what the heck is really going on? Love to hear from you guys tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And that's really what's on deck tonight. If you want to be part of the show, you can. There's the phone number. It's a Las Vegas area code. You can join the Discord. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. The youngsters are using it to play video games. We use it to do a talk show because, we're much more cool than that. But anyway, that's what's on deck tonight. That's what we're talking about. And do you think this is real? Again, there's some people that say that the moon landings were staged. I am not a proponent of that. I don't think that was the case. I think there was some disinformation probably pumped out, just in my opinion. I don't know the truth here. I'm not the truth, the soothsayer of truth, the arbiter of truth, as it were. I'm not that guy. So if you don't come here for the answers, you come here for the questions and why the conversations are kind of doing what they're doing. That's what's going on, and that's what we're talking about tonight. Let's see, we got okay, all right. We're gonna go to John from Facebook. All right, here we go. What's up, John from Facebook? You are on Trouble Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Not bad, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you think about all this Mars stuff, man? You think that the helicopter is actually up there, or do you think this is the other side of the dark propaganda cycle, and this isn't real at all?
Well, what I think is, so we know Mars is a little over half the size of the Earth, right? When a helicopter goes up too high in the air on Earth, there's not enough dense air to maintain that lift here on Earth. So my question is, if Mars is just a little over half the size of Earth, how dense is that air to provide the proper amount of lift to get a helicopter off the ground, even with it being as lighted as it is?
That's a heck of a question. We were talking about that a couple years back when they first announced they were going to create this helicopter. There's a lot of problems, right? And again, without us actually having firsthand knowledge of that atmosphere and the rest of those things, maybe we're guessing. Maybe this thing won't take off at all. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's very possible here, that maybe their calculations are off. This thing like flies maybe half a foot up and then turns sideways and just scrubs and breaks itself, I mean, those things are still possible. So we're still waiting for that. But you got a heck of a point. Absolutely.
And then the flip side of that is, it wouldn't require as much lift to be able to get up because it would be lighter due to the gravitational pull from a planet that's a little over half the size of what we are now. So the real fascinating, I love it from an engineering point because this is all data-driven, stuff here. I think the timing with what's going on with society is kind of distractionary, but if I look at it for what it really is, we have something on another planet possibly that is a little over half the size we have here. It has a lower gravitational pull, but possibly a lower air density. So this is a real question of, does our is the math we use correct in all situations? Does physics on Earth equate to physics on Mars?
That's again, I wish I had good answers for you, my friend. Those are good questions.
Oh, no, I'm not asking that. It's just one of those things that everybody should think about, because if we really just kind of step back, we have to be able to fully trust. Because if this doesn't work and they say, well, it should work because, gravity's lower, doesn't require much, there's not as much drag, but there's way more thrust because our blades are spinning fast or whatever, it really is going to challenge modern physics. And that's where the real excitement is to see if the math is right.
And so if you were a betting man, and I'm not claiming you are, what would you put your money on? Is this thing going to take off and actually be flying around Mars, or do you think we're going to have a catastrophe come April 8th?
I think, man, it's tough. It's tough because it doesn't take much to jump, when you don't have much gravity. So I think it'll take off. I think the air density will be too thin to maintain anything. And I think they'll quickly lose control because they're trying to do something that we could we could do this on Earth, no problem, because we have a proper air density and we studied it. We've been able to develop wings and, not so much wings, but whatever that rotor is on the back of the helicopter to kind of stabilize it. And that's all made on Earth, where we've had physical testing done. This is, our computer. These are robots that we're sending out there to learn, kind of. So I don't know. If I had to say, I don't think it's going to last very long. I think it'll crash. Maybe they'll get 10 feet out of it and do like an oh crap kind of landing, but I think it won't go much past the third flight.
Okay. And I'm with you. I like to be optimistic about these things, and I hope they did get the math right, as you're saying. But it's hard to say. Again, like I said, exciting times, right? Imagine if this thing goes off without a hitch. Imagine if it performs, for some reason, it just exceeds the performance capabilities they expect of it, and this thing can fly a little bit higher and go a little bit longer. Like the amount of information we can get from this in a situation like that is incredible. I mean, like I said, there's people speculating right now that there's life on Mars. They've been talking about that for at least a couple hundred years. So, as long as they had telescopes and the rest of this stuff, they were speculating that there's stuff going on up there. But yeah, interesting things. So let's pivot to that then. Let's just assume it doesn't crash and this thing goes without a hitch and starts taking sweet photographs. Do you think they're going to find anything up there that would be, how would you say, worth covering up? Let's say that. That's probably a good way to put it.
I think if they find anything with the resolution of camera they used, it'll be like a like a Sasquatch kind of thing, where it's moving in and out of the picture real quick. That's kind of what it's going to be, because they put such a low quality camera, which just goes to show what our government funding goes to. But anyway, I mean, can we get a 4K? I mean, it's been out. We got 8K. Can we get a 4K maybe?
Right.
Friggin'
for
can we get a panoramic?
Exactly. So some of this stuff just makes me smack my forehead and be like, come on, really, guys? This is what we're doing. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to put a crappy cell phone cam on this unbelievably historic, expensive flight mechanism that's going to supposedly fly on Mars. I mean, it's frustrating, is it not?
I would not be surprised if in 10 years they come out with the budget for it and it all came from used vehicles from Mike's Car Wash or something like that. Just fenders and bumpers. That's what we use to make it.
Right. They're like, look, we got a sweet deal on this dash cam. We took it from the junkyard.
Right. It has an SD card on it. Don't ask how we got it back.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, exciting times. This is definitely good stuff. Again, if you believe this, there's a lot of people that believe they're covering up a lot of information and that don't believe anything NASA does. I'm not in that camp myself. I understand why people would say those things, because it's hard to trust anything the government tells you, right? I think if you just kind of trust hook, line, and sinker and don't ask some questions here or there, I think there's a bigger problem. But again, you're listening to this show. I think you probably concur with that. But yeah, so final thought on this. Where are we going? Where's it headed? So if you're the betting man, you think it's going to fly 3 times, maybe crash. How about this? Let's say it doesn't. Are you expecting to find something on Mars that's worth covering up? Like I said, do you expect there's life up there now that maybe will kind of pop out?
I don't think they're going to find anything on Mars. I think the push for Mars is it's great to think, how do I put this to where it makes sense? Man has a motivation to explore. We've always had it. And Mars is kind of like one of those things that it's far reaching, like, circumnavigating the globe was far reaching. It's just way out there. And somebody wants to plant that flag first. And I think it's one of those things where there's so much interest in something, they will do anything to justify calling something alive or saying they landed. It's just too hyped up at this moment. So until I really see some unbiased proof, I would not suspect life to be on Mars. What I do suspect is that NASA loves math, and I also enjoy math with what I do. And that is where I'm hopeful, is to see man-made physics be replicated on different planets to prove that we're right.
How sick would that be? Here's a quick comment before I let you go here. So Robert on Facebook says, a low caliber camera for public views, but also a secret high-def camera transmitting only to the need-to-know few. Bet on it. That's a great take. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, that's definitely true. True. It's like Area 51. Crap them cheeks.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Good takes on everything there. I appreciate it. Anything else while we got you on the phone? We got maybe another minute here.
I mean, I just want people to start thinking for themselves, and whenever you see something, ask the obvious questions that logic dictates, not what social norms dictate.
Amen to that. You mean we shouldn't get the questions on Facebook from the fights on Facebook, the poo flinging that happens over there?
Leave that to people with 3 hair colors.
Okay, got it. Fair enough. John, you were the best. John from Facebook, I appreciate you calling in tonight. Great takes, and we'll talk to you soon. There you go, guys. It's as simple as that. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we have a phone line up. We have a Discord rolling. That was John. He is from Facebook, and he just jumped in the Discord. And if you're on Discord and you want to be on the show, just jump on the caller queue, and we'll get you on. Simple as that. Super cool stuff. We're talking about Mars tonight, and what is going on with this Mars helicopter that they're deploying, and it's supposed to take off on or around April 8th. They still don't know exactly because they're still unfolding this thing from underneath the actual rover itself. But again, like I said, interesting times. This is exciting. I think we have a chance here to really get some good data coming back from Mars, and I think we should be excited and cross your fingers and hope it doesn't just break into a million pieces on first takeoff. Pretty good stuff. So as we continue tonight, if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about Mars tonight. We're talking about NASA. We're talking about the Ingenuity helicopter. And basically the NASA being known as never a straight answer. How much do you believe? Do you think there's going to be life on Mars? Do you think it's already there? Lots of questions. Love to hear from you guys. One more time, 702-957-1037. Hang tight. We'll be back with more Troubled Minds after the break. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
I wish none of this had happened. So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's Tuesday night. This is the night we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in a bizarre version of the Upside Down. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and DLive. Tonight we're talking about the Red Planet, Mars, and the interesting things that are happening up there. NASA says they've landed a helicopter. That's right, a helicopter on Mars. Love to hear your guys' take on this. Do you believe what NASA tells us? Are you excited about the possibility of a helicopter taking off? And what do you expect they'll find up there? Those are the questions of tonight, and that's what we're doing if you want to be part of the show tonight. As always, you can just pick up the phone and dial this phone number, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord. We have a Discord link you can find at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. The phone number and the Discord link are both at troubledminds.org. So don't remember the phone number, just remember the website. Go there. It has everything you need, all the social links and everything else. We've got a YouTube channel, obviously. We've got all kinds of social media, Twitter and everything else. So go follow us. Make sure that you keep up to date, because we're doing our best to keep up to date and talk about these things as they happen. We get breaking news. This information is from today. They are unfolding the actual helicopter from the rover that just landed on Mars. So let's just recap that real fast, and then we'll get to the spicy stuff. The actual WTF is going on Mars, because some people suggest, there are lots of folks, in fact, that suggest that the information we get from NASA is all scrubbed in some ways. The photographs we receive have been kind of blurred out, interesting things that are worth talking about and looking at, and that the cover-up is in full effect. So that's we'll get to some of that in just a sec, but let's just recap the news real fast. NASA today is unfolding the Ingenuity rover. It was actually up there as part of the Perseverance rover. I'm sorry, the Ingenuity helicopter, and it was actually attached to the belly of the Perseverance rover, which landed on Mars February 18th, 2021 in the Jezero crater. All right, so it's been driving around for a little while now, and it's sent back some photographs, which you guys can find. They're all over the internet. It's all the talk of the space community, and everybody's excited about this. okay, including myself. I'm a little bit stoked that they're maybe going to get an actual helicopter flying on Mars. That's good stuff. Like I said, some of the photographs we're expecting to get back, hopefully, should be fantastic. So there we go. And that's what's going on. And today they announced that I guess it's folded up like an origami type situation into the belly of the Perseverance rover. And today they finally found a spot to deploy this thing. So they looked for it. The Perseverance rover drove around for a little bit to find what they called like a helipad type spot, like a very flat area where they could deploy this thing. It could unfold, which takes several hours, if not days. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen the actual data on that. But that's what's happening. They're actually deploying that thing today. It's brand new breaking news within the last 4 to 6 to 8 hours. This is happening today. And we should expect this thing to be fully operational if everything goes right. And the first test flight happen on April 8th. So we're going to keep an eye on that. As always, there's interesting things going on that sometimes people just don't talk about, or you hear it in like the top of the news hour for like 30 seconds, and that's that. Well, we're going to talk a little more in depth about it, as we always do, because these are some of the more important things, in my opinion, and nobody talks about them, so we spend our time talking about it. So anyway, that's what's happening. Ingenuity is going to be taking its first flight April 8th on Mars, and we're hoping to get some interesting things back photograph-wise and scientifically on whatever's going on up there. So there we go. There's the information. I will link this again. As always, you can find all of my links where I got all the information I'm talking about this stuff. Always in the social media. I always drop it in the chat so you guys can follow along and make sure that I'm not making stuff up. It's important to me that as long as we're talking about this stuff and you know, kind of keeping our eyes to the sky type of thing, that we take it seriously and don't fall for the fake news. There's a lot of BS fake news out there. So if I fall for sometimes, I expect you guys to help keep us on the straight and narrow path, because it's easy to fall for it these days, right? You get all whooped up in the political game and everything's fake. And you see something that maybe tickles your bias and you're like, howling at the moon, and it's totally garbage news, So anyway, that's why I always have these links. I drop them in the chats because I want you guys to see where the information comes from, and I want you to be able to actually follow up. Definitely. Let's see. Hold on. All right, that link didn't work. Okay. Anyway, it didn't work on Facebook, so you guys can always find the link afterward on YouTube. I'll link these in the YouTube description box. But okay, anyway, so that's what's happening. That's what we're talking about tonight. And now here's the interesting part. Now there is some people that have said. Now we're going to go to this guy, and actually, before we do that, before we get to this guy, we're going to go to this. Like in the past, here's from space.com, and these are some older articles, right? This is from August 20th. 2012. And, there's been things like, the face on Mars, right? There's been like things like the Mars monolith, which we'll look at some of these things as we kind of cruise through here. But, there's been some anomalous things actually on Mars that people have kind of cited as, hey, look, there may have been civilizations there, like ancient civilizations. What's going on? So this is from space.com. And the title here is The Face on Mars, Fact and Fiction. And so here's the thing, right? So let's just read some of this, just so we have the background. So when the Viking 1 mission returned photos of the Martian surface in 1976, the image of a rocky face in the Cydonia region captured the public eye. Was it a trick of light and shadows? A remnant of an ancient civilization? And so this article goes down and says, let's take a look at this intriguing landform, okay? And, it's been widely determined that these photographs from 1976 were a little bit washed out in shadow a trick of light and shadow. And it doesn't actually look like a face, all right? It doesn't actually look like a face. But in some of the actual follow-ups, you can see here, and again, I'll describe them to you because I know some of you guys are just listening on radio, but you can see that they've got higher and higher resolution images of what this actual spot is. In 1976, it looked like it was a face. It looked like there was a face there. 1998, a little bit less so. And in 2001, it kind of became clear that it's like a hilly I don't know. It almost appears like as anomalous to me as the face originally. I don't know exactly what they call this thing. The rocky outcropping that creates the illusion here, approximately a mile across, and bears a resemblance to buttes or mesas from the American West, is what they're saying. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. It still looks a little bit out of place to me. But again, right, I've never been to Mars. I don't know what to expect what Mars looks like. But that's just one example. One example, right? So we got a phone call. We'll go to this in just a sec. If you guys have takes on this and you want to, I'd love to hear what you think about this Mars helicopter, about the anomalies on Mars that are the face on Mars. There's actual a monolith on Mars, right, that got a lot of attention recently because of those monoliths that popped up here all over Earth, right, which are still probably happening, I believe. And then there's other stuff. There's like pyramids, they say, in the Cydonia region. There's some things up there that are worth looking at, I think. But for some reason, instead, we're landing in other parts of the Jezero crater, and we're not sending anything to Cydonia, which is interesting. I'm curious. I don't know. What do you guys think? Again, we're going to go to this phone call. If you want to chime in right after, you are more than welcome. Love to have you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and you can get in here and tell us what you think about this and all the rest of this stuff. Like, what do you believe NASA's telling us? What do you believe all this stuff? Is it exciting? Is it terrifying because the propaganda is through the roof? That's really what we're talking about. That's what we do on this show, because it's really difficult to kind of take things at face value in the post-truth era. So that's why we talk about them in this manner, and that's just the way it is. Let's go to this phone call. Again, looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. TroubledMinds.org is the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there. Let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. Let's see. Is that working? Click the button. Come on, Mike. You can do it. Come on, you can do it. Let's get Beechwood on here. What happened? Why is this not working? All right. I'm going to refresh this. Hold on one sec. The button's not working. Hold on, Beechwood. We'll get you on here. Here we go. All right. Beechwood, you are on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
I am here. I'm wonderful.
Right on. Right on.
It's crazy that we live in a society where we actually have to question everything. That's what's really getting to me right now. It's like we actually, because I'll be completely honest with you, I think that we are on Mars, but I'm still not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'm only in the 90s. And as far as NASA, they're 50-50 to me, because the government has such an influence on them. And then you look at our society. I was reading about banking a lot. NASA could very well be some sort of front just to filter money through to make the numbers work out, because no one can actually track where it goes.
That's where the 20 trillion that went missing from the Pentagon, it ended up on Mars. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But then I was looking about the helicopter they sent, because I was looking at some stuff on SpaceX, and I think it's more like Elon Musk influence that kind of got us there. He seems to be the one that's really into it, at least in the public eye. But I don't know whether it's going to fly the first time. Is it possible to do? I think absolutely, because I just look here on Earth, once you get a taste of what the physics is like, and the reaction that things have, that it could be done. I mean, I look at the difference between airplane props and boat propellers. I mean, they kind of do the same thing, but if you put an airplane prop in the water, it's done. It's going to blow apart. And, there's different, physics to that, and we figured that out. So I'm not in depth enough with, the science and the physics of that to tell you how it would work. I understand how a helicopter works with the lift and the drag. And the back propeller keeps the helicopter from spinning around crazy. But I'd like to see it work. What gets me, though, is the camera thing. It's like they're telling me I got a better camera than they have access to, and they're in between a rock and a hard place that they can't get one there.
It almost seems like. Go ahead.
I was going to say I agree that they probably have better cameras on there that the public's not going to have access to. I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk or someone snuck their own one on there, on a like have it go to a separate program, like kind of sneak it in there. You know, that's totally possible. But as far as, you know, I've looked at the pictures. I think they look okay. I think you get different resolutions. But I was doing research, and I was comparing stuff to, you know, Russia allegedly sent a probe to Venus. You know, I think it was in the 90s or something, and they have like 1 or 2 pictures. And I think those pictures are fake because they look better than pictures today. And then I was trying to find, you know, is that fake, like looking into conspiracy theories on that, only on Google. And basically you come to dead ends. You know, it's up to you whether you want to decide. But with NASA, it's a weird, it's like 50-50. They're overall, I think they're controlled. I think they have, I don't think they're going to tell you what they really know. But then the question is, why would you put so much effort into, like, you know, to lie, to make up a lie, unless it was there was some master plan to keep the public safe and really control them. But, you know, I'd like to see the thing on Mars fly. And if Mars is there, I think 100% there's probably some form of microbial life.
Yeah.
Could there have been a past civilization or a subterranean civilization? I think it's possible because, you know, science tells me that the Earth is 4 billion years old. It was a molten ball of rock that cooled, you know, it was bombarded by, you know, asteroids. And, like, if you draw a pie graph and put, like, the age of the Earth and then you draw a line that represents, you know, humans, you probably wouldn't even be able to see it. You'd probably actually need a microscope to see that. Like, if you drew a circle, you know, the size of a hockey puck and made it red and said, this is the age of the Earth, and then you drew a line that said, this is the age of humans, it's like we're less than a blink.
We're just getting going. We're just getting started.
We're just getting started, man. But I don't think a lot of people comprehend that. Like, I don't even think I actually comprehend it. You know, how quick life is. Our space and time, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But,
so interesting times, right? So okay. Now, interestingly about that camera, it's almost like they put the 13 megapixel camera on this helicopter so that if, you know, they get some sketchy photos, they can be like, well, we only had a 13 megapixel camera. You know what I mean? It's almost like they built in the plausible deniability.
That's possible too. But, man, I know in Japan, they come out, they had, like, you know, when they talk about cameras and megapixels, they've been coming out, like, in Japan with incredible cameras way before they hit the, you know, the global market. And even not in cell phones, if you look at, like, some of the new digital cameras they got, they're amazing. I mean, you got to dish out some good money for them, but they are really, you know, that good. A friend of mine has a really expensive Nikon. He just, with a good lens, it's nuts.
So wait, so do you think like a few $100 million would be able to buy one of those and attach it to this?
Oh, maybe.
Or are they more expensive
but of course,
than that?
you got to add in the government inflation and all that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right. So what about life? What about life on Mars then? So microbes, yes. You don't think that there's an actual possibility of an ancient civilization? Let me add just to the conversation to kind of spice this up that in the 60s there was something called the Stargate project, and they had a remote viewer check coordinates 1 million years ago on Mars, and he actually said there was some sort of cataclysm. There were non-human entities in his vision, his remote view, and he they were trying to get off the planet because there was a huge sort of cataclysm happening. So anyway, just to spice the conversation a little bit here.
I would not be surprised at that at all. You know, that there was, you know, some sort of even advanced civilization. Would not be surprised to see, you know, tons of fossils. When they first launched the first rover to Mars, I remember, I think I was in middle school or elementary school, and they made like a big deal about it. And they used to tell us that Mars had evidence of water, you know, the water channels, the rivers. And you compare it to Earth, you know, if you look at Earth, a million years from now, no one knows what it's going to be like. If someone finds it, they might say it was impossible for something to be here. So that's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. I'd like to, and then that rover too, we're only in a very, very small spot. There's still a lot of open space on Earth too. Like if you were from another planet and you looked at Earth and you said, oh wow, look where all the fresh water is. It's in the Amazon. And you landed in the Amazon, you'd be in the middle of nowhere. Like you very rare that you'd see evidence of humans. So I mean, it's I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say I think that there was some form of, maybe not as intelligent as us, but a creature of some sort, maybe a primate. I don't think that's that crazy of an idea. But the media is the enemy. That's what's tough. It's hard to find sources.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's people that say these things, right? Like Fred mentioned in the chat here on Facebook that Buzz Aldrin is a badass. Don't tell him to his face the moon landings were fake. He'll punch you, and he will, because he did. he attacked somebody somebody was calling him a liar. If you guys remember the story from a ways back, that some guy was shouting at Buzz Aldrin as he was going into a restaurant or something like this, calling him a liar, and that there were aliens on the moon, or no, that they didn't actually land on the moon, I think is what he was telling him. And Buzz Aldrin he didn't take kindly to that. He just turned around and popped this dude in the jaw. I mean, hey.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
And they were saying Neil Armstrong, if you do it backwards, it's Neil A. It's alien backwards, and then something with Buzz Aldrin, something with Moon. I don't know. His mother's last name was Moon or something. But there was all these weird coincidences with them. But Neil Armstrong spelled alien. That's kind of weird.
That's a little weird. Yeah, so that's what's on deck tonight. It's weird that may we live in interesting times. I think that's the best part of all this, is that you go back a couple hundred years ago and there's a whole lot that was not even remotely this interesting, and here we are actually.
And then another.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just one question I forgot. Like Russia beat us to space, in history.
Sputnik.
Like, where is Russia in this thing? Like, are they out of the space game? They're just not talking? Are they already there?
So they're,
I don't know. Just
last I heard, they're partnering with China in that respect, so that they can get some credit there.
Okay, I did see that. That's scary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that they're partnering with China in more than one way, which is exactly a little more scary. But I think the collapse of the Soviet Union actually kind of curtailed their space program, and now they're trying to play catch up. Yeah, unfortunately. But so we got to roll here. But final thought while we got you on the phone, my friend?
Oh, be open-minded. I mean, NASA's good, but just like you're almost better off looking for someone that worked for them and try to find some inside info. I'm kind of just playing the waiting game, because I follow the SpaceX online and a couple of Elon Musk things, and I'm just really curious. It's kind of got me looking forward to seeing, what they're going to say. So really, 50-50, keeping an open mind, but also like some excitement, because I just think it's interesting. I want to know what's out there,
Well, you're in the right place, because we're going to keep an eye on this. Thank you, Beechwood from Massachusetts. I appreciate the call. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you for having me on, man. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Appreciate the call. You guys want to be part of the show tonight? 702-957-1037. I see you there. Copper Mustache will be with you just after the break. We're talking about Mars tonight. They've launched a helicopter. Well, not into the air yet. It's coming. How's that make you feel? 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about Mars and NASA. Hang tight for more after the break.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're talking about Mars tonight. NASA has put a helicopter on Mars. How much faith do we have in NASA? And do you believe there's life on the red planet? That's the question tonight. If you want to be part of the show, it's 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Looking to hear from you guys tonight. We're going to get into some interesting things in just a sec after this phone call. Actually, we had a phone call that just dropped, so let's give it just a sec to screen, and then we'll get right back to it. But if you want to, that's the thing, right? We're talking about the NASA. We're talking about the rover on Mars. This thing is called the Ingenuity, actual rover itself. And let's see, hold on, let me get these names straight. The Ingenuity is the name of the helicopter, and the Perseverance is the name of the rover itself. And again, how much of this information do you think is accurate? Again, are we some people are suspicious of NASA, and like I said, with good reason in some cases. I'm not a proponent of we didn't go to the moon and this type of thing, but some people are, and it's because it's a definite distrust of government, basically. And NASA is a kind of, like I said, the propaganda front of a secret military space program, which we are not privy to that information. So I think some actual information regarding or some suspicion regarding NASA is well in place, let's say. But okay, let's go to this is a Copper Mustache, I believe, from YouTube. What's up? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
This is a great topic. I love this. So last month on Joe Rogan, I hate to say that to you, but Elon Musk was on, and Elon's a really cool guy because he can really describe things and really complicated stuff in a way that you can understand it, right? So there's a couple points I want to touch on that I think are really pointing to this. One is, why are we going to Mars? Well, according to Elon, there's several factors. The first one is that Mars is a jumping point to get to the next planet. So the way humans can actually get under our current technologies from one place to another is to have these jumping points. And so if we can establish a colony on Mars, get it alive and something, we can make it to whatever the next planet is, whether it be Jupiter, Saturn, or whatever. So I thought that was really cool because what he's looking at is not what he's very fundamental, what we have now to deal with. Okay? Maybe there will be things on Mars that will allow us to advance even more. Who knows? But right now, that's what they're kind of thinking of. The other thing is, if you notice, there's all these like rovers and stuff on Mars. Those are, if you think about it from a standpoint of, they're basically civil engineers, these little guys. They're looking at the landscape. They're looking at places where we might be able to go and at least settle our first little community. Now, one thing he did say was very forward is, yeah, you'll be able to go there, and he's expecting this stuff to happen within the next couple of years, not years and years and years from now, but it's actually the next few years. And what was really cool is he told you what it was going to be like, right? So what it was going to be like is, first ones especially, super dangerous. You're not going to have the best food in the world. Your lifestyle is not going to be easy. And once you get there, you're going to be the first person there, just like the first people who came over here from Europe. We didn't do too good, if you remember. A lot of them didn't make it. And that's what he's pretty much forecasting. He goes, some of them aren't going to make it, or some of them aren't going to come back. So these are going to be true pioneers that go out. This is going to be like, in a way, going back to, the 1700s, or 1600s rather, 1600s. just going to a different planet. And then the other thing is that he said it was really, really cool. It just blew my mind. Is he said that Mars used to be filled with water. So how do you bring the water back? You warm the planet up. How do you warm the planet up? Oh, there's ways to do it. He talks like, hey, I'm just talking about the average everyday topic. He goes, yeah, you just throw up, some solar panels on the polar side and the subpolar side, and from the side, and you got to listen to every interview because I'm obviously making it seem simpler, but in that way they can warm the planet up after a period of time, and the oceans will reform.
Which makes a lot of sense to me.
All these things are, it's crazy. It's crazy. You got to listen to this. It's really, you should get him on your show, by the way. Just call him up. Elon Musk, hey, come on over to Trouble Mind.
I got him on speed dial.
Mike in the Capital Station. Mike in the Capital Station. I have a couple questions for you. Okay, you mind? No.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Yeah, and you're right. Like there's a lot of interesting things. Like I said, living interesting times. We definitely do. And Elon Musk has said he expects fully that he's going to die on Mars. Like he knows that this is kind of in that pioneer realm of uncertainty. And these are the type of fearless folks you need to imagine the same thing, like you said, the 1600s. Imagine from Europe hopping in a boat and going across like months of just terrible conditions to get to another place that you didn't even know was not going to be hostile, or in some cases they said that it was flat, you'd fall off the edge of the world type stuff. I mean, it's similar. You're completely correct, and it didn't go well for some of them. So good on the people that have the brass cojones to be able to go do these things, because many people could not. I'm not sure I could, to just be like, yeah, you know what, throw me on the rocket, I'm not coming back, and I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. That's a big ask right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, okay, how long did it take for those first settlers to come from Europe to the Americas? Usually it took, I believe, I'm pretty good in my history, it took several months. Well, that's exactly pretty much what we're looking at to get to Mars, several months. And one of the things he said, too, is you can only get there on certain times of the year. Exactly. Well, guess what? You could only get over here during certain times of the year as well because of currents, right? So the same thing goes because of the way space works, and I'm not a scientist. If you listen to the interview, he'll explain it, and it makes all the sense in the world. Just a really fascinating interview, and I highly recommend. Again, I think you should get him on the show.
Yeah, definitely. I'm working on that. As above, so below. Interesting parallel there with the currents and the orbits, actually. So basically, the orbits, they have to be kind of in line, because if they're opposite, the trip is just too far. So they have to. That's why they have to have like these tiny launch windows, because they have Earth and Mars kind of swing by each other and get within the realm of possibility. And so that's why everything is like tailored down to like 1 day or 1 or 2 days, and that's all they got. But yeah, definitely good stuff, my friend. We got to get to some other like actual hot and spicy life on Mars type stuff. But final thoughts while we got you on the phone?
Yeah, one last thing is the picture of the guy who looks like an alien on Mars. I mean, that's kind of like you have a spinning little globe going on in your background right now. If you really look at it, you can see about 3 faces, and it's the same thing. I live in Illinois. Well, if you go up to the Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, take a little boat tour. A guy sits there and goes, "Oh, look at the mountain up there. It looks like the shape of an Indian, so we call it Indian Rock." It's like you look at you sit on the ground, grassy field, on a beautiful spring day and look at the clouds, the fluffy clouds. How many faces do you see?
Yeah.
So what they're talking about now is real. That is not real.
Right. Pareidolia, right? Pareidolia is what that's the term, right? We're always trying to find faces and things that create patterns in our head. Yeah, I mean, there's something to that. Of course, that's a real thing, but I don't know. Like, I think when you start calling everything pareidolia, it just becomes a little bit comical, kind of like calling all the UFOs swamp gas. You know what I mean? It's sort of the same type of thing to me. There's only so much you can go to that well and expect people to believe it. You were the best, my friend. This is a Copper Mustache on YouTube channel.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for calling in. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037, putting the phone number up. A couple things we got to get to real quick before we finish this show up. We got one more 15-minute segment left here. This is interesting. Let me point this out. Now, there's an individual by the name he goes on YouTube by the name The Real Jimmy Roberts 1. All right. We almost had him on the show a ways back, but he was more of a video guy, and this is more of a radio show. He wanted to show like some of his YouTube videos, and it kind of just didn't work that way. So we had kind of some scheduling conflicts with that, but he was almost on the show at some point. But The Real Jimmy Roberts 1, and I'll link his YouTube page if you guys want to check this out. I highly encourage you, if you're interested in these things, to go check out this guy's YouTube page. All right. Now they make fun of, YouTubers, right? Like the mainstream media is like, you found some crappy YouTube video, but just because somebody's on YouTube doesn't make them wrong. You follow? It doesn't make them wrong. They're just on YouTube, right? So you have to go judge each thing on its own merit, right? So interestingly, this guy, he's a proponent of this. I'm gonna give you his link. Actually, he's got this actual website called MarsFam.net, and I'm gonna link it right here. And I encourage you to go check this stuff out because, like I said, there's things that are compelling and there's things that are not. If you go to third phase of Moon, in my opinion, and most of the stuff that they did on their YouTube channel is fake. Like most of that stuff is fake. Like Tyler from Secure Team, most of that stuff, right? But it doesn't mean that you throw it all out because there's some compelling things there. All right. Now this guy, The Real Jimmy Roberts 1, in my opinion, is one of those legitimate, quote, researchers because he's actually using raw NASA data. If you guys have never seen his YouTube channel, go check it out. It's amazing. Now, I'm going to read just a little bit of a blurb here from his website. It's the website is marsfam.net, like Mars Family, marsfam.net. And so he says this: almost anyone who takes the time to examine images sent back from Mars, especially from the rover Curiosity, knows something is wrong. The obvious blurs, skews, and overall obfuscation of the digital imagery is too easily explained away to us. We are far too gullible and accepting. The excuse of these images not being perfect is ludicrous. It doesn't get more high-tech than Curiosity, and a machine costing $2.5 billion can and does send impeccable images back to Earth. He continues, what I am telling you now is that we rarely see those pristine images, but neither do the majority of people working within NASA and JPL, that's the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He says, these images are altered automatically by computer software designed to identify anything appearing artificial to the human mind. But the software is designed by humans. Therefore, it is not without flaw. There are mistakes, things are missed, and it says, scroll down below are some of these things. And it's crazy stuff. Meaning that he's saying this, all right? He's saying exactly this. And let me read just this. The truth. He says, this is the truth about Mars, all right? And again, this is from The Real Jimmy Roberts 1 on YouTube. And it's compelling to me. If you go watch some of these videos and some of the things he's pointing out, actual footage, like this is actual footage. He's taking the raw footage from NASA and he's trying to spot places that they've scrubbed, right? And that the algorithms have kind of wiped out. And he's again, it's difficult to imagine, in my opinion, a bunch of rocks, right, that look like rocks. But then some are kind of mixed in there and they don't look like natural rock formations. And of course, right, me personally, I don't have any experience with Mars. I'm not an astronomer. I'm not an astrophysicist, any of those things, right? Most of you aren't either. But it doesn't matter because we know what a rock looks like. We know what water and, sunlight and radiation and, like wind and erosion and things like this. Sure, they're going to be a little different on Mars, but not so different that things look out of place. alien out of place even. So here we go. He says this: the ancient annihilated civilization on Mars is real. For unspecified reasons, you are not being told the truth. NASA is using rovers to explore the ruins. The Mars Fam Project is a group of human beings dedicated to discovering the true nature of our existence. But first, we must accept a reality that has been kept from us for way too long. Please watch our videos and discover why the concept of Mars Fam and the truth about Mars is so important. And that's from The Real Jimmy Roberts. Again, The Real Jimmy Roberts 1 on YouTube. I linked it. Here you go. I'm going to link his actual website again, where this information is coming from. But if you go look, he'll kind of go through and he'll highlight exact portions of the actual feeds that come from NASA, the Curiosity rover, and I'm sure he's all over this new one. Is it the Perseverance? I believe that's up there. That's up there now. And once the stuff starts coming from the helicopter, as they launch that, cross your fingers, it's not going to crash and burn. But once they do that, he's going to be all over this stuff because he fully believes that there was an ancient civilization on Mars and there was some sort of cataclysm. And interestingly, that right there, his notion of that, and he never talks about this as far as I'm aware on his show, because he's all about the data. He's all about, look at the photographs, guys. Like, this is not a natural rock formation. And he starts pointing out particular things. He says, look, this appears to be a riverbed, and they don't talk about that. Like, there's a lot of things he really gets into here. But as far as I'm aware, he doesn't talk about remote viewing and things like this. He's none of the woo, right? He's basically like, hey, we're being lied to. This is, a lot of this stuff has been scrubbed from so that we can't have access to the real raw data. And he's trying to find the holes where they miss things. And like I said, watch some of the videos. They're compelling to me. Is he right? I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't have the answers to these things. These are really, really large questions. And, some people just smack their forehead and roll their eyes and just say, oh, just another stupid YouTuber, right? Well, like I said, just because you're on YouTube doesn't make you any more or less stupid than the people in the mainstream media. And actually, I would even argue that it makes you quite a bit smarter than the people in the mainstream media, because at least you're thinking for yourself, right? At least you don't have a newsroom and a conglomerate of money feeding you money for you to tell lies. You see? But anyway, definitely good stuff here, and it does corroborate. The reason I brought up remote viewing is because of that Stargate project. All right, the actual Stargate project, where the remote viewer actually saw through a remote viewing, he saw 1 million years ago the coordinates on Mars, and he actually said that there was a civilization that was collapsing. And people were trying to get off the planet, and they were dying. And they were long, skinny, tall, like 10-foot tall entities that were not human. And part of the Stargate project and how this came about is they kind of were playing a joke on him. It was kind of like one of those keep you honest type situations, right? Where they kept trying to have him find places on Earth or see this or see that, right? And he was doing all these things. And the way remote viewing works is it's like a double blind thing. So there's a remote viewer and there's a reporter is what they're called, I believe. And then so the information is given to the recorder, to the recorder, and then that information is in a sealed envelope. And so that individual doesn't know what's in there, because if they did, they could lead the remote viewer, right? Well, then, so they didn't know. They were given the information. It was kind of like one of those, well, let's see if this guy's screwing with us. Let's give him coordinates on Mars 1 million years ago. And so they did. And he started remote viewing. I can't remember the name. Was it McMonagle? I think that was the remote viewer's name. He started remote viewing actual extraterrestrials in a collapsing civilization 1 million years ago on Mars, right? And like I said, The Real Jimmy Roberts 1 on YouTube seems to concur with that. He just as far as I'm aware, never cites that as proof or evidence. He always cites the raw data that he gets from NASA and kind of goes through the information. Interesting stuff. It's like I said, it all comes down to what you believe. I don't know what to believe because there's so much contradictory information, and those are the types of things that make for a good radio show, right? For a good conversation, because who knows? And some people will roll their eyes and laugh and say, "Oh, trust the science. NASA tells the truth." Well, all right, fine, sure, fine. But also, there's a lot of things they don't tell us. So, you kind of can't have it both ways, can you? Expect that they withhold a bunch of data and then all the stuff we do get is 100% perfect. I don't know. I think that's kind of asking a lot. But anyway, that's what's going on. That's what we're talking about tonight. That is what this show's about. It's about all the crazy stuff. It's about all the stuff that nobody wants to touch because, well, they would call you crazy, right? Like I said, the things you're not allowed to talk about. And tonight, it was Mars. And so what do you believe? That's what all this comes down to is what do you actually believe? Is this the science is right. There's nothing to see on Mars. It's mostly a dry planet, like they've said. There's no life there. We don't expect to find any life there. All that stuff, right? All of that it's what NASA says. It's what the science says, right? It's what the quote science says. But then there's this whole other bunch of people, right? And again, go listen to it's like this. The Real Jimmy Roberts 1, just like it sounds on YouTube. I'll link it again. I'll have the links in all the show stuff so you can find all this stuff easily, all right? But go check out some of his videos and just see what he's saying. He's pointing out particular rock formations that he says are not natural, right? And he says that he even points out places where it appears they have been edited or modified, but the algorithm or whatever was doing it, or the humans that double checked that algorithm, they missed some of these spots. And so that's what he's kind of scouring the footage looking for. So like I said, compelling stuff, whether you believe it or not, right? At least go give it a chance and look at the actual raw images from Mars with your own eyeballs. And then you make up your mind, right? I think that's the thing. Is if you don't spend any time doing that and you just kind of take all the science, the quote science or NASA or whoever it is at their word, I think it's just like fake news, right? If you just take the Fox News or CNN at their word and don't go double check anything, I mean, who's the knucklehead, right? It's you because you're being lied to, and we know that's real. We know we could spend every single day just pointing out how they lie and deceive. And I think that information coming from the government is worth talking about, is worth thinking about, is worth all of this. So anyway, that's what's on deck, or no, that's what's over. We're finished up tonight on the Fringe. Hope you had a good time. We're going to keep an eye on this helicopter on Mars and see what happens when it finally launches. So thanks for hanging out with us tonight. If you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening on YouTube, DLive, or Facebook, hang around for a third hour. We're going to do a third hour and talk more Mars, ancient civilizations, NASA, and what the heck does all this mean? We're just trying to figure out what's going on in this world, right? The best. Good conversations. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. All right. What's up, David? I see you there. We got Kelly on the line. Let's do this. Let's talk more about Mars and what the heck is going on up there. Let's do it. All right. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. I'm me, you're you. Together we're us. And we're talking about NASA. We're talking about Mars tonight. And we're talking about this rover that supposedly has dropped off a helicopter that's about to take off and be able to scan the Martian soil, I guess, the Martian landscape. And I wonder, how much do you think of that is real? How much do you think is not, et cetera, so on? Let's go to Kelly. Let's not waste any more time, and let's go to Kelly. I appreciate you waiting until the third hour, my friend. Let it rip. How are you tonight, my friend?
Good evening and peace to the family. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's on your mind tonight?
I'd just like to say about this helicopter is going to be pretty interesting, but I was just like yourself. I was thinking that it would be going much higher than 10 feet and off the ground. You know what I mean? 10 feet really just kind of giving you more of the horizon, not so much of the aerial view that people would expect from something like that.
Yeah, that was the thing that kind of made me a little bit disappointed, was that like how much, like I don't know, like I would expect, maybe if you can get up 100 feet, like it would be an unbelievable difference. But I don't know. I guess it's the first one they've put up there, so they're kind of setting their sights low. Maybe I'm not so sure, but it just seems weird that 10, 15 feet. It almost seems I don't want to say useless because it's useful, but like you said, you only get the horizon. Assuming this thing works properly. I think that's part of the problem, right? Is it's not good. It's less good. It's less ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to also consider too, though, if that's the first time, you know what I mean. You don't want to have something really expensive worth, a couple million, billions, or whatever on top of whatever you're sending up there. You know what I mean. You want to go with something kind of basic, so if it does crash and burn, you know what I mean, there wasn't too much money wasted. You know what I mean? He doesn't really expect, especially 10 feet, that's kind of good, I guess. You don't know what kind of winds are on the planet, you know what I mean? Because it does, to me, if I'm looking at Mars, by the pictures that they're showing us and like through my telescope, what I've seen is that, obviously it's not it doesn't really have an atmosphere, and, they're saying that the gravity is a lot less than Earth. So if you're not having, if you didn't have an atmosphere, you'd be, that's why you're not seeing a lot of clouds, cloud cover on there like here on Earth. So if they're trying to deploy this thing, I'm pretty sure they've done tests, but tests will kind of give you the results you're looking for. So when they're trying to get this thing up, they were looking for airflow, air speed, direction of speed, and what kind of, lift they're going to get. But most people thinking, when I was listening to conversations in the chat, when the guy was talking about, they don't know how it's going to work. The only thing about for air per se is that, for the engines, like here on Earth, like the helicopters I worked on and any other helicopter for thrust, they need to go a little bit faster. So they need an engine, which gives them, the forward mobility so, but if, what they're talking is something smaller, like, everything is going to be all electric. But the only thing about this thing is, the reason why it's so worthwhile they had to put money into it is it's going to have to be self-correcting because, when they're sending that signal over to Mars, it's going to take a few seconds before it gets there. So who knows, there's probably something they're just going to be playing with.
Yeah, I think they've so we've got to the point where I think they can probably pre-program where this thing's going to go, and so they just do that and give it its you fly 6 feet up and then 3 feet to the left and something like that. They're going to give it like kind of a a 3D coordinate type map and then hit go and it's going to go. So it's not like a waiting for like direction. So I think we can do that with drones here. I can do it with my drone right now. I can tell it exactly where to fly, to hover there for 10 minutes, to spin 360 degrees, to fly to the next spot that I told it to I can do all that here now. So I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to do it instead. It's not going to be like a back and forth to Mars and Earth type of thing. So, it's basically hit the button and pray that it's not going to, spin off and just, crash into something. But I don't know. I guess it is the first one. And they did, I don't know if you guys saw this. They put a piece of the Wright brothers' first airplane on, they smuggled it on to this thing, so that's a piece of that is now up on Mars. So a nice little nod back to the first flight on Earth is now a piece of the first flight on Mars. Kind of a cool little I guess nod to the past there. But yeah, I mean, like the technology has changed so much. They don't land anymore in real time. It's all like algorithmic based, right? Like the thing floats around and it scans the ground and then it picks its own spot and does its own thing. At least what we're told. I don't know. That's what we're told. That's what we're led to believe here.
Yeah. But what I like to get into is the ancient civilization that was there too, as well. You know me.
Yeah, definitely. I was,
So anyway,
when I was talking about this and putting this together, I was like, Cydonia. And I started thinking, Kelly's going to have something to say about this. Can't wait, sir. Go right ahead.
okay, so the interesting parts about what NASA calls areas, like even on the moon, but like for Mars, for instance, because you got to really think about, like, they have, you know, their science, history buffs, everything that was, you know, that came through time, through, you know, universities and whatnot, archaeology and everything. Same thing with the Nazis. They were doing the same thing that we were probably doing, or we learned it from them after we took over, you know, after World War II, and we had their scientists and we found all these things out. But what's interesting is you'll still find the Sumerian connection, right? So like in those writings, and this is the one from Zachariah Stinson, from his collections that he deciphered, was that Mars, aka, actually it's Lamu, aka Mars. So the planet is named Lamu. And the face that you're seeing in Cydonia, let's say, that is not a trick in mirrors, and it's not anything like that. That is Alalu's face, carved on the top of a mountain where he's buried into. That's where, in that whole area, Cydonia, if you back out that picture of it, yes, you'll find different things. And that's the same, that same guy you're talking about, that there was a civilization on Mars. It was being operated, they would call it a way station, it was being operated by the Igigi. And the thing about it is that they were saying that they had calamities too, you know, kind of things that were happening here on Earth. Maybe it was a passing of Nibiru, or who knows? Could have been a war, I think, because they were battling each other. You know, the family members were. And the interesting part is that science backs that up. So if you look about it, okay, let's just talk about real quick what NASA calls that area. NASA calls that area on Mars with Cydonia, with the face and the pyramids, right? It's called Cydonia, which is actually here on Earth, same thing. But the whole region is called the Arabian Terra region. Why would they call it the Arabian, right? So if you go back to the connection with Earth, you have the Cydonia area, which is, you know, Middle East area, which were, you know, that's where they said that, you know, all of creation, and that's where they first landed, and everything happened there. You know, the launching pad over, you know, the landing area is what they called it. You know, some places in I think it was in Lebanon, and then you have Iraq where all the other stuff happened. But if you look at that, it's between 30 to 40 degree parallel on both Earth and Mars, the Cydonia area, the Cydonia region. And what's interesting even more about that is, you know, the destruction is with that. You know, we talked about this on, I think, probably one of your first earlier shows, when they had, actually, it's kind of interesting because you showed a picture, and we you know, I commented on it and called in, but that whole area in the Cydonia area, there was looks like two nuclear explosions. There's two craters there, and they found what was it? Zion is it Exxon? I think it was called Zion 129. Yeah.
Oh, Xenon.
That
Xenon.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xenon one.
Yeah.
Xenon and Arc happen naturally in throughout space and throughout, you know, even on Earth. But the thing that they're talking about is was 129, right? Xenon. But what's interesting about Xenon 129, it only happens through what they call a hyperabundance that is caused by a fast neutron fusion. What that means, it's a total detonation of, like, how we have it here. You know, they tested it here on Earth, because how that happens at Xenon 129 is, you know, it's been happening since 1945 when we started doing nuclear tests, right? It only happens when you have the quick explosion of uranium-238, right? That's the hyperabundance that they're talking about that causes that nuclear fusion. That's what they're finding in the atmosphere on in Mars when we first, tested all that stuff when the satellites went over there. So that's some of the stuff that's actually that's pretty interesting. Science backs all that stuff up too. So yeah, and what they called those back in the Sumerian times was, they called them the weapons of terror. That's what they unleashed, and there was 7 here on Earth. And the interesting part is that they were taking out cities. And the major cities that, if ancient cities that you see, like in South America, like in Peru, and then in Egypt, and some in, who is it? There's another major city, but it was over in the Middle East somewhere, right? I think it was in Turkey. And you have a vitrification of these statues, and the only way that it could happen from that high vitrification, turning it into glass and sand, is through like a nuclear explosion. So that's what's interesting to me is, science actually backs up, and I wouldn't say they're even backing up. I think that for me, that they've already looked into that stuff. Like I was saying earlier, even through Project Paperclip, we had the Germans and everything, because they were looking all through that, throughout history anyway, looking at all through Egypt, So, like the top archaeologists around the world, they're mostly German, back then. That's because they were part of it. Some of them were part of the SS group looking for all that stuff.
Yeah, which is and von Braun actually, he was a big proponent of some of that stuff, right? I think it was almost like he believed in aliens. It was a little bit weird, some of the statements he made. And I don't know. I mean, kind of like you said, when we first started the show, this has been again 3 years going on now. We've talked about some of this stuff a little bit here and there, and I do remember when you called in and talked about this, that there was possibly a nuclear war, some sort of huge cataclysm that happened on Mars that ended this civilization, and it seemed to be that it was them fighting with each other in some capacity, right? And, those are the types of things that, the McMonagle remote viewing, go back a million years, in Cydonia, of all places. So wouldn't it be curious to send, like you said, when you very first called and we talked about this, why don't they send these things to Cydonia? That sticks with me. When you brought that up the first time, it rings true. It's wait a minute, if this is one of the most, anomalous places on the entire planet of Mars, why are we landing in these other spots and not actually getting raw data from that exact portion? And it seems like they're dodging it. It was just a little bit weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially that, because if you was to go to Mars, okay, so prove us everybody wrong then, that's one case. If you could go there, because you can do all your tests anywhere on Mars anyway, what they're looking for. Unless they're looking at different cities, like that one guy, that video you're talking about. But other than that, if you go there, you want to go and see some stuff like that. You want to see if it's real. If it's, if it is, you could go up to the peak of this pyramid, or you could go to, to the face, fly that little helicopter above, and even take real, good pictures of something like that. And it's not just one pyramid there. There's multiple. It's like a city there. There's a picture where a lot of people explain that stuff too, where it's like a cliff or something, where it's like a view of the whole area. There's a half spiral thing, moon. And I actually looking into another website before I was the show when I got called in on the 3rd, but there was a website and they're saying there's actually even kind of like the face, but it looks like skeletons. That's kind of, and it's almost. Pretty telling too. It almost looks like a skeleton face, that's engraved on the Mars as well. But yeah, I mean, why would they not? Because obviously you have the face of Mars, you have the pyramids that are there, and the 2 explosions from the Xenon 129. That'd be one area you'd probably think that they would want to go there. I mean, I don't know why they're not. It's like a waste of. It's like a joke. You know what I mean? So are we actually there in that area? Is that where we're really at? And they're telling us, different, that they're in a different area? Because for me, even all those pictures, you have pictures of you've seen those guys on YouTube that, it's just like that one guy, but, they're pretty telling stuff. That looks like a statue to me. It looks like they don't even have to highlight it, like some people do. They'll put brightness contrast or something in that area, kind of to bring it out. But some of those pictures, you don't even have to do that. You can just look at it and it's like, what the hell, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's a lot up there. Again, like I said, I would just scroll through some of these pictures about, the Giza and the Martian pyramids where they're trying to line them up. They call this a star city on Mars, right? The Valley of the Boulders. They got things that look like there's a tower up there. They look like there's trees or a port or glass tubes. I mean, there's tons and tons of these anomalous things that it doesn't seem like this can all be explained away by just pareidolia, and some of the science comes out and they say that this is it's a formation of Mars by the wind and the sand and this and that and the other, and that's why it looks like trees. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, fine, but like again and again and again and again and again, like everything is not an illusion, like sure, they do exist. We're able to be fooled. That's really what we talk about in this show, is that we're able to be fooled, but really, like every single one of these is just a big illusion, right? Like that's what we're expected to believe. I think when you again chalk everything up to pareidolia, it's the anti-science. That's not science at all. It's just kind of making us disbelieve what we see with our own eyes type of thing, And I don't even know what to believe. It's just that I only know that the information we get from NASA isn't 100% because they can't tell us for national security reasons, right? They just can't.
Well, that's what they keep claiming, and that's one thing that really pisses me off is, they keep hiding behind that as well. National security. National security from what? You know what I'm saying? Like, if there is you would think that you'd want your people prepared for war if that was coming to the planet by some super force that can jump through fucking universes from the universe, and they're coming. It's not like you'd be like, oh, well, we shouldn't say anything until they get here. That's kind of stupid if you ask me, but I don't understand, because everything they're doing is taxpayer money. It's all our money anyway. I would, we should be demanding what they're looking at, like out in the open, what I mean? Whatever they see, we all see. I mean, I don't understand what the big illusion is, unless the illusion is already, that they've been here, already here, they've never left, and they're still controlling all this, the shit that's going on around here. But anyway, real quick, just on that one Copper Mustache, I think his name was, he was talking about, like, when he was saying Elon Musk was, bringing up points of how he was saying that they're using jump points from, like, from the moon. Well, that's exactly they were doing from the moon and Mars. And that's what's funny, because you'll find that in the Sumerian writing. That's what they talk about. And like they use also moons on Jupiter, and just to further all the way out. And each planet had their own name. And the last one was Pluto, which is Gaga, of all weird names that they come up with, that singer wanted to come up and call herself. Again, that's a whole different story, different rabbit hole, but. If you go back in there, they're trying to do jump gates, and what they call them back in the Sumerian writing, they call them way stations, though. So the way stations, it would be jump points, to get further out, through our galaxy anyway, or our solar system. And then they were trying to get to Nibiru. So if it was out on its outer orbit, then that's the way to get out to it. Because they would chop the gold down, and then that's how the story, that's how the whole thing. And it's written in thousands of year-old fucking tablets. That's what's crazy. And another one thing too is about how he's saying warming up the planet to create life on there. That's the same thing they were doing on their planet, which is they were letting off like nuclear weapons inside volcanoes to have them erupt, so that way they could warm up the planet, trying to save the planet.
Which is interesting because of the I've been, like I said, I watch that Total Recall from time to time, where they start the alien device and melt the glacier and turn up the atmosphere on Mars. Fiction is the best. I tell you what, truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Yeah, but
yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
but it's just I do is I look at that, and then it's funny about it because. You're reading it in 3,000, 5,000-year-old text, right? And then science are coming out, and they're just repeating exactly what they're saying inside the writings. You know what I mean? Like how Earth was made. An example. You know, they said what? There was a planet, two collided together, kind of spun off the moon. The rest of it created the asteroid belt. I remember listening to that shit in science. And then lo and behold, you know, when I got older and started looking and researching, you know, into all this ancient aliens, what they call now ancient alien shit, but it's just history. Looking into history, and you know, you find out all this shit, and it's just crazy. It's the exact same story, but they're just thinking that they're gonna change it a little bit, so it's more sci-fi now, you know, science and stuff. But yeah, it's crazy too. Like the Dogon tribe in Africa, they were talking about Sirius B, the second planet or a star system that was in the star system. Yeah, they were, and the Dogon were talking about that shit way before even Europeans showed up. You know, that they were like, oh, we found this tribe over in Africa, and they're talking about this Sirius B. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of parallels, and I think those are the things that make people suspicious. You know, it's almost like they're toying with us. I don't know, and like you said, like the most important point to me about all this is why don't we just drop a rover in Cydonia? And, you know, put an end to this. Like, get high resolution pictures of this stuff super close and just beam it back to Earth. That would put all the conspiracy theories to rest, wouldn't it?
It sure would. You know, and like what's the name was saying too with Elon Musk. That man has got bigger balls than the whole government.
Yeah. Because
look what NASA did. You know what I mean? They're flying, but he can bring his rockets back to Earth and then reuse them. You know what I mean? He's like making them look like jokes. It's like, what have we been spending our money on since, you know, for what, 40, 50, 60 years now? Billions and billions and billions of dollars. We went to the moon and then we lost all the technology. This is the shit they want to feed us and make us believe. And people, you know, and that's what's crazy. People believe it. They want to, like, I mean, I would want to really believe we went to the moon and all the stuff that was real. But you look at it from a different angle, and that shit's like, that's impossible. From the time that we had and the technology we had, no way. I don't think so. To do it every single time, every time, without even a one mistake, one off center.
No, we crash stuff all the time. We crash stuff all the time.
Stuff that may have malfunctioned, but I'm talking, I mean, come on, we launched a rocket, spun around 4 times around the Earth, shot directionally toward the moon. Hopefully we shot in the right direction, went around the moon, dropped a part of a spaceship down there with 2 men on it, walked around, then we shot another chunk up, connected with the same unit, flipped around the moon, and then went back to Earth. And we did that how many times without one fuck up?
Well, I mean, it does seem difficult, let's say, but you know what I mean. Like, have you been to the Hoover Dam? You know, they say that you know that it was impossible for people to make the pyramids back then, so aliens and all this other stuff. But I don't know. Like, sure, fine, we had modern equipment, but the Hoover Dam, I'm pretty sure dwarfs the pyramids. That MFer is huge. It's unbelievably big, man. And so, you know what I mean? People died doing it, and it was, you know, it's literally a modern marvel. But kind of looking at something like that makes me believe, you know, those things were possible. I don't know. Again, like I said, that's why we have these conversations, because it's just, you know, part of trying to, you know, make sense of the reality we live in. That's where we're at. Unfortunately, that it can't be just a normal thing. It's just, it is what it is. We're trying to figure out what's real anymore, because everything seems like it isn't.
Yeah, you know. But like I said, Elon, though, I just wanted to touch on that real quick, because, you know, he's kind of like, he actually wants to go there. I mean, and, you know, there's another one that's, you know, part of a space agency, I guess it's called Arguadia or something like that. I got part of the member on that. You know, they want to do a space station kind of thing when they start building that. I mean, I really want, for right now, I would like to, you know, there's a company that wants to build that rotating, like a hotel up in space. You heard about that?
Yeah. Yep. It's coming, they say.
I mean, that would prove everything. If you had the money to go up there and do that, and sit there and watch the Earth spin to see if it is flat. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, well, whatever that is, you know. Again, like I said, I'm open to the idea, but that's not one I think I can be easily sold on. But yeah, crazy stuff, right? Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's like the gravity situation. I don't know. Anyway, not to get into flat Earth, but yeah, you're completely right in the sense that it's just weird. Like all of the stuff that we're supposed to believe, it takes a lot of faith, you know, and faith, you know, faith is fine. There's nothing wrong with faith, but you know, when you're taking like the faith, you know, faith in a religion is like faith in a higher power, right? But then always or typically what corrupts that is not the belief in that higher power. It's the message from the people, the intermediaries, right? That wreck it. And it's the same thing with the government, you know? So like people live in this world where they think that they have faith in these governments and these institutions. And, you know, these institutions are broken, just like people. You know, people the world over are just broken. They're greedy, they're liars, they're this, they're that, you know, and they're wonderful, you know, and they're loving and they're helpful. It's just a mixed bag. And so, you know, like that's part of why we do the show. Like to just kind of go blind faith on anything, even, you know, the quote science, which we hear over and over again from the politics now, which isn't science at all. It's its own form of like corrupted religion. It's sick, right? Sick world we live in, my friend.
It's the upside down, like you're saying.
Yeah. It seems like
in chat too, and I believe if there's you know somebody that's still up there, and what's weird is you hear the story even before that one guy that's I don't know his name now, I can't remember, but he's saying that he was on Mars, just like, and there was a guy before him, that, you know, saying that they were you know, they were like space marines, and they were like, there was a war still going on Mars, but underground. If anything there, if you had to living on a planet, something like that, you couldn't change the atmosphere or try to make it, like, you know, hospitable. You would probably live on underground, because, you know, I'm thinking, you know, the atmosphere or temperature and everything else would probably be like here on Earth. You know what I mean? It's more habitable. If you're looking for anything, that's where I would look, you know, probably underground, if there's civilization there.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And on Mars in particular, they've said that, like I was saying earlier in the show, that they've determined recently that they used to think that a lot of the Mars water left the atmosphere into space, but now they believe the opposite, that most of that water went underground, and which means and suggests, right? We know you follow the water to find the life. That underground on Mars should be a terrifying spot. We're going to find Ash's Cave down there, right? Something like that. Kelly, we got a call behind you and somebody in the caller queue. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, just real quick. No, I just wanted to say what's weird is that that's even the same thing here on Earth. There's actually bigger oceans underground than there is on what there is supposed to be on here, you know, on the surface anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water table that's underground, you know, everything. And it's actually even purified. Some of that's just more pure than what's on top, you know what I mean? 'Cause it's more drinkable and stuff. It's been filtered. Yeah, it's believable, though. All right, you guys have a good night. I just thought I'd give a, you know, call on third hour again.
Great shit, as always. Thank you, Kelly. You're the man. Say hi to Michelle for us. We'll talk to you guys soon. God bless.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon. There you go. There's what do we got? Hold on. Let's go to Jay. We got a Copper Mustache on the phone. We're going to do that real quick. Let's go to Jay, and then we'll bring in Copper Mustache. God bless. What's up, Jay? How you doing, buddy?
Mike, it's a pleasure. Really fantastic show after a fantastic show. The YouTube was
You're okay.
Good 30 seconds behind.
You're okay. I understand.
Apologize.
It's okay. Hold on one sec. So let's actually do this. Copper, I wanted to bring in, because I know you were in the caller queue for a long time. We got Copper Mustache. He says he has one more point. Let's do that, and then we'll continue.
Let's hit it.
Okay, let's do that. All right, let's do that. All right, what's up, Copper Mustache? You are back with Mike and Jay. Well, you said you had another point. What's up?
Yeah, just one real quick point. I forgot to tell you about this earlier, and that is point again. Elon Musk talking on this interview. He said, you know, when you see my launches, a lot of them fail. Well, they should fail, That's the whole point of it, because it's an experiment. And you can say, well, okay, that's a good cop-out, Elon, but let's look at who the big players are in the space race. You have Boeing, you have SpaceX, you have Virgin, and you have NASA, I guess. Do any of the other three show any failures?
People don't give a lot of credit to Martin Marietta.
Who's that?
By the
they do fail. They do fail. So they do. It's just the thing. The thing is that we'll get to Marietta in a second. But hold on, Jay. They do fail. It just doesn't like it kind of hits the press in like a, it's not celebrated. It's not pumped to the top of the news cycle to failures, right? Because again, that's part of the whole upside down and the troubled minds thing. Because they fail, man. They fail the shit out of things. Just recently, remember that SpaceX, like that rocket flopped? They were trying to land it back and the thing like went sideways and exploded. So well, yeah, but SpaceX is Elon Musk, and that's what I'm saying. Elon Musk will show the failures. Oh, right,
but does Boeing show their failures? Does Virgin show their failures? Does NASA show their failures?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Well, they downplay the shit out of it. That's for sure. I think that's why it's difficult to trust, right? Because
the only one that shows their failures is Elon Musk, and his point was they should fail. That's the whole point of having a trial. That's the whole point of having a test flight.
Exactly, right?
But they learn from it.
You expect something to go wrong, yeah. Which is interesting because now we're talking about a test flight on Mars. So cross your fingers. So it should fail.
That's why all the shit works when they get up there.
Right, exactly. Because they've crashed it a lot down here. Yeah, that makes sense. And you're right.
Hey, thanks. I didn't want to take up any more of your time. I'm so sorry.
You're cool, bro. No. Please, I appreciate you calling in. Appreciate your takes. You're the best. Talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Have a great night.
Thanks, man. You
Have
too.
some good beer.
Hell yeah. Yes, my friend. That's Copper Mustache from YouTube. All right. So who were you saying there? What were you talking about, Jay? You said a particular individual.
I was just saying that I can't believe that, you're showing I'm so discombobulated right now, Mike. I'm sorry. I mean, after talking to Copper Mustache and listening to Kelly and everything else like that, and the things that I've built and done in my life, I had a job where my job was to push the smoke detectors pretty far underground and radio into a microphone, 22357, boop. It was pretty far underground. That was my job. QC guy. That's what you do. Okay. You push a smoke detector with a broomstick, and this shit is like half a mile underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just like a stupid job making your $17 an hour, prevailing wage, doing what you're doing nothing. What's your job? I push a smoke detector with a broomstick and radio in the number.
Wait, for what though? What's the context here? So what's the smoke detector doing? Why are you pushing it underground? What's going on with that?
For chat, to make sure it was working properly. For fire code.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was just stupid. It really was. It was stupid. They had Boy Scout troops doing it to raise money for summer camp. How'd you get your money for summer camp? I pushed smoke detectors with a broomstick half a mile under fucking ground. Thank God we're in the third hour.
You're good, bro.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I've been trying so hard because you listen to your show in the first couple hours, and I really think I could make some valid points. But the thing is, though, is 2 beers after the end of the third hour, it's like fuck.
fuck. Let's just drop the fucks. Yeah. It just takes some doing. It just takes some getting used to.
It does.
Slow. That's why I start slow. It's okay. All right. So what do you think about this Mars stuff? So how much do you trust NASA? And do you think that there's life on Mars? And what about this helicopter? How much do you trust NASA? What about this helicopter? Do you think there's life on Mars?
The helicopter that cost, I don't know, however millions.
Hundreds of millions.
Make. Yeah. Throw half a dozen up there with a recycled iPhone and Walmart or dollar store thing on there and give it a whirl. Bump up the battery. Yeah. The thing that we were talking about, I don't know, maybe a week ago or something like that, where we can't outrun the drones.
Yeah.
You can throw so many of them up there. Throw 200,000 up there,
Yeah.
Use Elon Musk's the Falcon Heavy that he's got. Throw 200,000 up there. Give them a little Starlink around there with their little probes that can go down there. 50 feet off the ground or whatever. Map the whole motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, it could. No. I think the thing is too that it's unfortunate that it takes so long to get these things together, because literally when this show started, I'm not kidding you, the first co-host Frank and we were talking about the prototype of this helicopter on Mars, right? And so here we are 2+ years later, it's actually landed there, and they're ready to deploy this thing. And, I was
sweet.
Exactly. But that's a long time. I mean, that's a long time. So,
well, we got a window from distance because there's times where that thing is way the hell out there and we're not going there today.
Right.
I mean, we're going to wait till it's a little bit closer before we use all of our petroleum, and whether we're wasting it on carbon dioxide here or blowing it off into space. You're taking something away from the planet when you're going there.
Well,
that little bit of water, that little bit of the same way when they came here.
Well, it's true though. But I think, and I've said this all along, and I'm not changing my mind on this, is that, with the fragile Earth that we live in, and, the state of society as it is not quite as robust as they want us to believe. I've always said this. I think it's important that we get a base on the moon. We start getting a colony up there. We get a base on Mars. We start getting a colony up there. And, I recently, matter of fact, something just came out where they had an astronaut that they measured his heart, and his heart actually shrunk as a result of being in space. So
the twins.
Yeah.
It was the twins.
Yeah.
The twins.
Yep.
The one twin was in NASA and the other twin was in NASA, and the twin on Earth did the NASA training, and the twin that went up to the International Space Station did it for more than a little while. And when he came back, his brother was stronger and more fit. And we can't live in space, man. We can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
so point being is this, that that the people that are up there aren't going to be human anymore. Like, if we can survive up there in these environments long term. Have you seen Total Recall? I hate to go back to that so many times.
Yeah, you're not going to come back. I mean,
they have mutants up there, and people that have been living in the environment and the atmosphere, and living in these bubbles.
Your body's going to change.
Yeah, like those people that end up in these places. Maybe won't ever be able to come back because their body will adapt, right? If you're birthing kids up there on Mars or the moon or whatever, they'll never come back here because they can't. The gravity signature will kill them. Right?
Someone the ash is going to be sniffing on,
Exactly.
If me and my wife and everything else decide, okay, screw it, man. The stuff that's going on here on Earth sucks, man. We're going to hop on the rocket ship with Elon Musk and go to Mars and build a farm.
Yeah, well,
we're gonna go turnips.
Turnips. Yeah. Here, let me read this article real quick. Just the headline. We got a call coming in too, so don't go anywhere. Stay with me, Jay. This is the thing.
I will.
Medi. What is this? medindia.net. I just shared the link. It's up on that screen. A year in space decreases heart size of astronaut. This just hit. This is March 30th, 2021. Scientists discovered that even after regular exercise, the heart of an astronaut who spent almost a year at the International Space Station shrank. However, it continued to function well. Similar results were found in Benoit Lecomte, an endurance swimmer who spent almost months trying to cross the Pacific Ocean. Astronaut Scott Kelly lost an average of 0.74 grams of mass per week in his heart's left ventricle during his 340 days spent in space. He followed a weekly 6-day exercise regimen of cycling, treadmill, or resistance work. So even with the exercise, his heart was shrinking. And this is what I mean, right? That's just one thing that we're, like you said, the twins, we're just finding these things out. Once you start putting like colonies up there and birthing babies, like the whole world's going to turn up. So you think we're the upside down here? Like, holy shit, there's going to be some weird shit happening on Mars, with like, oh, well, we didn't expect all the babies to have this happen, and it all happened, It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I think if we're going to go, it's we're down to like 3 months now on the Mars, if we got the window down right.
I think it's 9. I think it's like 9 months.
9 months. So, I mean, that's a baby.
That's a baby, yeah.
That's a baby. And, Homo sapiens. But I think we got to freeze ourselves, stop, shut it off. You're done. Cryogenic sleep or something like that the whole way there. Because you're going to run out of food. I mean, let's look at the travel plan here. 9 months is what you say, and I'll believe you because your research team is a hell of a lot better than my iPad and my telephone.
I don't even know if I'm right. I just think it's 9 months based on how long it took.
I'll agree with you for the sake of argument.
All right, fair enough.
We'll call it 6.
Right.
Let's just call it 6 because it's halfway between mine and yours.
Sure, fair enough.
But I mean, that's a hell of a long time. What are you going to do? I mean, we're going to hop on the Discord and play Grand Theft Auto for 6 months?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, I mean, yeah, it might be fun. Jesus Christ, you'll be living in the penthouse by the time you get there.
Right.
And then you realize, you're looking at dirt and rocks. Oh, fuck, man. Now I got to start with my pickaxe and my shovel.
Exactly.
You got to start getting underground because, I mean, they have a hell of a swing in temperature there. I mean, night to day.
Yeah.
I mean, 73 degrees during the day and like 240 under.
Yeah. And the radiation and like there's there's dust storms that cover the entire planet. Like it's a harsh environment from what we're told.
You got to be underground, dude. You got to be. You want the job pushing the smoke detectors with the broomstick when you get there.
All right. When we go back to where we started, we're going to the next call. Jay, don't go anywhere. We got Beechwood coming on. Stay right where you're.
Are you going to leave me so I can hit mute or something
no.
so I can hear and not switch back?
All right, cool. I'll just mute you.
Thank you.
Yep, you got it. So just stay right where you're at. Beechwood, you're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Jay's in here listening. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, what's up, Mike? I'm calling you back. Oh, what's up, Jay? I like Jay. I like listening to him talk.
Jay's good stuff, man. Jay's a good dude.
Now, I know I called earlier, but, I forgot to mention is, just from my personal experience, like maybe 10 years ago, at work with normal people discussing, like Tesla and Elon Musk, like 10, 15 years ago, and Amazon. And it was like, Tesla and Amazon's going to take over the world. You said that, people were like, yeah, maybe. And it's kind of coming true. It's like Tesla and Amazon. And I just want to know, like my personal experience, when I gather with family, with people, when I talk about aliens, no one wants to hear it. When I talk about science and like the Mars rover, like no one really wants to hear it. Like that I know it's they're interested but not that interested, and you literally have the richest guy in the world saying he wants to live on another planet. Like that just messes with my psychology. It shows that we're like slaves here. Like what the richest guy on the planet wants to leave the planet because he says it sucks.
Well, I think he just has brass balls. Like there's some people that have to have a vision, like that stand up to death, to stand up to the worst that the human experience can bring you. And I think he's one of them, like whatever you want to say about Elon Musk, he's a great marketer and all that other stuff, but the dude has brass balls, man. Like he's going to leave his kids here on Earth or whatever, but he says he's going to go die on Mars.
I feel the media is really holding him back. If he's who he says he is, he almost hints it. Because I've watched all his interviews. He's like it's like he has to go through all these loopholes and miles of red tape to do what he wants to do, and that's at least what it seems to me. Because I have a kid I work with that says Elon is the front man. He's not really running it. He's just a puppet. Like he's like the Dana White of the science world. And we go back and forth about all of this because he's not about it. But it's good conversation, and he makes some good points. But I took that into consideration. Is he really a puppet? And then I don't think he is, because like he's shown that he's incredibly smart, and then he said what he's really good at is, organizing people. So he has people just as smart as him that he works with, but when you look at his timeline, it's worked out right. He played his cards right. But why does he want to leave? That's what questions me. And like nobody's interested. The main public isn't interested. They're more interested in the stocks that you can make money off of, like that illusion of money, rather than. I mean, the guy's talking about colonizing space. I mean, that just seems wicked exciting to me. And the general public is happy, like just being slaves, doing what they're doing. And
agreed. I mean, even something as simple as this, right? Like this is just a crappy radio show, but it's like, like at some point you got to step up and be like, hey, I'm not afraid anymore. You have to be able to speak out and say, hey, this shit is not right. Things are not real. This is upside down. And most people are even too scared to do that, to even speak out in their own lives. And you see it, everybody knows. This world is fucked.
I know it.
But that's a tiny step.
Exactly with that.
Yeah, it's a tiny step compared to Elon, but still, right? Like people know, people know. Like you said, they're just content being slaves. It's weird. It's a weird world we live in, man.
But yeah, it's like they got the general public just dumbed down to be happy where they're at, which is fine. But we're at the point right now, stuff 15 years ago has happened that you said would never happen. My list of stuff that's impossible and stuff that would never happen is already full. Like it already happened. So like I'm done hearing that. It's totally possible. And then you look at exponentially, like how we record history and evolution. So I have the opportunity to learn what someone learned in a lifetime in a shorter amount of time if they recorded it the right way and we learn how to learn the right way. So does that become exponential in our evolution? And it's possible, because if we didn't record anything and you didn't get to learn from the last generation, we'd still be monkeys. So is it like we're coming to a point in evolution that we're going to reach this exponential explosion? Like kind of like one of those flowers that grows for like 40 or 50 years and then blooms for like 30 seconds. Like is the human race's consciousness like that? Like are we about to reach a boiling point where something's going to happen to the planet? We can sense it, but we don't realize it. And there's this massive flow of intellect among a small group of people, and like I feel we're not getting let into what's really going on. There's a possibility we could have already left, that a small group could have already left, and planet Earth is doomed and they know it.
The breakaway civilization, as Alex Jones always says. Hey, Jay's got a quick question for you, and I hope Timothy's going to give us a call. Tim's got a hot take on Elon Musk that we need to hear, I think. Tim, please call. Here we go. Jay's got a question for you, Beechwood. Let's do this. Jay. All right, Jay, you're up. What's your question, man?
Shoot.
I just want to know that are we really seeing what's going on here? You know, the conversation that we're having with the people that call into the show all the time and everything else like that, it seems like that we already know. It's like, where are we going to be on that? Are you going to be the guy that gets to go to Mars and be the builder? Or are you going to be the guy that goes to Mars and be the embalmer or the bartender or the waitress? I mean, how are we going to really... how are you going to do it? I mean, really, how are you going to do it? You got to feed people. You got to farm people. You got to do all of it. I mean,
that's a good question. I mean, the United States prison system is probably capable of that right now. It's people
absolutely
used to be in isolation, used to being slaves. It's America has a big
this is your job. This is your job.
But then, you know, the truth is, if we do break away, if one group goes away and is able to colonize another planet, how long before they say, we're not going to listen to these rules?
If the elite, the elite want to go there because they know that something's going on here. You know, Narubu, the whatever. You know, I mean, we could have that conversation for 100 years. But something's about to happen here. We want to go to Mars. Why do we want to go to Mars? We don't know. Intuition, you know, instinct, travel somewhere else, whatever. The thing is, though, is the people that are paying for it aren't going to be able to logistically provide what needs to be done there to do it. So who are you actually going to hire?
I agree with that 100%, and that's almost like it was set up to be that way. Like, I hate to use the term slave, but the general public we're all slaves to the dollar. That it's the concept of money is like burnt into our minds since the day we were born.
Money is worthless.
Amen.
It is. You know, I know.
Hey guys,
it's worthless.
We're all human resources.
We got a call. We got a call behind you. Let's finish this up. We got a call right behind you. Tim's in, and we got to finish up the show.
All right. All right. I'm sorry. I'll let you
go. I like talking to Jay. You know, that conversation we were having, that could go on for. That's like the undebatable conversation of the human race.
Agreed.
Oh man, it goes on forever. There's so many questions, but
you guys need to get together.
Thanks for having me back on.
You got it, brother.
I want to hear what Tim has to say, and I just want to know why the richest guy in the world wants to leave the planet.
All right,
because I want to leave the planet too.
Tim's going to have a hot take. Tim's going to have a hot take. Thanks, Beechwood. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. All right, Jay, back to the mute. I'm not kicking you out. Stay right there. We got Tim. Tim from Georgia coming up next. He had a hot take on Elon Musk. What's up, Tim? Tinfoil Tim at the university. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's up,
you are
Mike?
back on the show.
Go ahead,
man.
Old Elon Musk. This guy here that has captured everybody's imagination. You need to do your homework on him, ladies and gentlemen. Actually read some books, find out who his family is, and understand how he got his wealth. You may not like the answers to those questions. Just saying. You need to do some digging out there, because since the day Tesla went into production was on the premise in the Obama era that every single car sold out of California to a California resident would be subsidized by U.S. taxpayers, and that was extended to every state. So when you buy a Tesla, and it's usually wealthier people that buy them, guess what? Everybody out there is paying for that car. Just like when you order from Amazon. Every single package delivered is subsidized through the U.S. postal system, or he wouldn't be in business. Understand that. And the other thing is, people need to use some logic about what's going on. The whole world is taken over by communism, okay? You know, They're still trying to tell you to put 2 and 3 masks on. You got Dr. Fraud out there every day. I mean, folks, we need to use a little logic here. They're gonna. The last thing that Trump did was sign executive orders for disclosure to time it right as the full takeover is occurring during the month of June, when they're going to be in heavy legislation up there in D.C. to pretty much take us into the rest of Agenda 20 and Agenda 30. This is a timing not coincidence as hell that we jumped forward with a space race. We sat for 50 years, spent very little on it, and didn't do much at all.
Yeah.
But Trump comes back into office, and we jump all over it, folks. Let me tell you. Okay, it all goes back to 1947. This all goes back to 1947, the United Nations. All these studies and all these plans done by government, compartmentalized government, okay? And what you find out is that, yes, they had a plan even for the disinformation agents, the Alex Jones of the world, even back in 1947. They were called newspapers and radio, and that's what people listened and looked at. And you had disinformation artists out there then leading the public to Zion. Notice everything is named for what the Rothschilds wanted to be on so-called Mars, okay? Just like Antarctica. The names are the same, folks. The names are the same. And they will be the same. And that's not a paradox. That's who's flying on private jets that don't have to adhere to everything that we do.
Yeah, you know the names.
Okay, so you're relying on those same people. You're relying on those same people who own every source of information that comes from either government or the so-called free press. So are we really going to get anything out of them that's the truth? If they've lied to us right now about the biggest moments in history of the last 6 months, including an election in the most powerful so-called nation on earth, the United States of America, and you don't think that they won't pull our chain to get more and more. Look, they milked the cookie, and they realized they could keep milking the cookie because of Hollywood. And I can't tell you every day how many people I think that stuff they've seen on TV and in science fiction is real, because they've seen it on TV so much they absolutely believe it's real. I keep giving comparisons in the chat so people will see it and wake up and understand that if you have the technology to do half of the crap of these people that call in and talk to Linda Moulton Howe and Will Cox and all these other people, okay, just to understand it makes no sense for them to say that, but we're cheering Elon to build rockets. Is there any logic in that equation, ladies and gentlemen? We all need to go back to kindergarten on this and really think about all the people involved with this. Okay, I give you the in the desert, Contact in the Desert. Look at all the people that are going to be there that have made books. They've made a living, and if you go against any one of them with a microphone and attend that event, first of all, they ain't gonna let you speak.
Yeah.
Because they've all made a huge living doing it.
Yep.
And they'll chase you off stage. I could go up there and say all the real stuff in the world, and they will shout Zion until you jump off stage and leave. They'll kill you over it.
Yeah,
they will take your life over it. They will destroy human footprints next to dinosaur footprints over money. Right. And if you follow old Trey Smith, the God in a nutshell, boy, he called that guy up and videoed it. Said, hey, why'd you destroy the human footprints with the dinosaur footprints, buddy? Why'd you do that? You did it with a steel pipe, too. He confronted the guy. You can watch it on his YouTube channel. More people need to do that. We need to call these people up, get it live on camera, and start confronting them. Like the astronauts, the Gifford brothers, okay? If you go back, reporters after the Space Shuttle Challenger, I give this as an incident, they were all supposed to have died, but yet they all mysteriously had a twin that has been interviewed in years since by reporters. Oh, yeah, that was my twin. No, it's not. It's the same people. They didn't die. They weren't on board. They simply weren't on board, folks. I one time took a trip with some friends, and my old man did this to prove it to us. He was still active duty Air Force at the time, but we went and looked at the hangars and seen the bird shit sitting all over the space shuttles when they were supposed to still have 2 of them in active service. When that was absolutely impossible because they were sitting in hangars that weren't even freaking guarded. Anybody could have went in there and took all the pictures they wanted on NASA's property because they didn't give a shit. Quite frankly, they let stuff go to rot down there worth tons of taxpayer dollars. People should go down there and take a look sometime at their junkyard. They got one in Texas. They got one in Florida, down at the Cape. They have let billions of dollars worth of stuff that they built over the years just sit there and rust and go to pot with no explanation at all. And it all depends on who's in the administration and how much the public really gets on their butt. I'll give you an example. Go back and watch the Trump press conference where he's got Buzz Aldrin putting NASA on the spot. Because he almost told on himself and told on the whole deal at that press conference. Buzz Aldrin almost did too. Listen to what Buzz asked NASA. Everybody needs to watch that press conference because it'll open your eyes. You'll say, well, wait a minute. Why did they even have a press conference like this? Why did they do that at the time and place? Because they needed money. They needed money, huge amounts of money. For what? To keep all those high-level people employed, doing their thing. Money's got to come from somewhere. Well, you're not going to want to give up your taxes if you knew the truth. You just simply wouldn't. That really what the research is based on is better military technology and better technology to keep control over 7 billion people on a planet. That's really what this is about.
Right. Okay.
Those satellites aren't going up there to defend you. They're going up there to spy on you every day. We're not building drones to protect us. We're building drones to spy on our every move.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, let me just back up and clarify just a little bit here, because you go fast, you're smart, and it's sometimes hard for me and other folks, I'm sure, to make the connections here. So you brought up Contact in the Desert, Linda Moulton Howe, and that technology and the shit they talk about. So meaning that they talk about the secret space programs, the time travel, and all this other bullshit. Are you saying it's bullshit, or are you saying it's real? Like, I wasn't sure of the polarity.
I'm saying it's bull crap. I'm saying it's bull crap, and I would love to sit down with the people that I know are veterans from the Air Force, like my father, and let these people say what they've got to say in front of him with the clearance that he had, because I want to see when it's revealed about the actual program for deception. It's there. It's on official government websites. You can look it up for yourself. I don't want to say too much more than that because we've all seen it happen and go down. This whole entire time, we've watched it. And you've watched what that program is, and it starts with the 17th letter of the alphabet, ladies and gentlemen.
17th letter.
All the information that came out of them was everything from Al Violet, Alex Collier, and all those people from 30 and 35 years ago. Double check me, you'll find out I'm telling you the truth. I did a show on it on D-Live. I brought up the websites. I brought up Alex Collier. I brought up all those people, and I showed. You have Simon Parks to this day trying to hashtag all over their stuff on their websites like he's a part of it. And it's him, Corsi, and Alex that were behind Q. Okay? And they say, well, it was taken over to turn a color revolution. No, it was part of the disinformation campaign to lose America. And that happened because everybody sat down and believed they were fighting them underground. They believed that we were taking care of the slave colonies on Mars. Well, that's why we're going to Mars. You know, that ship is stuck in the Suez because it belonged to the Clintons and they're trafficking kids. Okay? This is the kind of crap that they're still putting out.
Wait.
You
So,
know?
wait, are you saying
And
that's fake?
understand that,
Hold on. You're saying that's fake? The
You know-
Clinton stuff is fake, right?
99% of it is.
Yeah. All right, there you go. I actually, hold on.
If you understand
hold
the
on.
government's point of view,
Just real
if
quick
you want to
regarding
take
that.
something over in a communist revolution, okay, or a fascist revolution, there's two things that you have to do.
Right.
Okay, you have to control both sides of the story.
That's true. That is the truth.
It don't work if you can't. We wouldn't be having this. We wouldn't be going through what we're going through if they didn't control both sides of the conversation. If we still had a voice, we'd be the other side of the conversation. It wouldn't be happening. But we lost our voice.
Right. Because
So there we are.
We're the gruel inside the sandwich, and the two pieces of bread are squishing us, and you know who they are. Yeah, you're completely right. I agree 100%. So I did have, so I wasn't sure because I looked up that Evergreen shit and I was like, wait a minute, all this Hillary Clinton crap is popping up. It seems like more 17th letter stuff. I almost said it. And I was like, hold on. So then I know a dude. Real quick. Let me finish.
Here's a news flash.
Wait. Let me finish.
Shit.
Tim, let me finish. This is important. I know somebody who lives out in that neck of the woods in the Middle East. And I was like, dude,
right?
Can you do me a favor and can you look into this and see if there's anything you can find out where there's any sort of like human trafficking, shipping containers, Suez Canal, anything, any of that shit. And he looked into it and he did a fantastic job and sent me a goddamn report, a freaking like PDF 5-page report, right? I just asked a simple question and
Right.
the dude went ham. And he lives out there, so he knows, he has the news sources, he knows who he can trust. You know what I mean? When you live in those areas, you know where to go to find the information. He sent it back to me, and it's
Right.
all bullshit. It's all fake fucking news, just like you said. I just want to corroborate what you're saying. It's fake. It's fake. All that Hillary Clinton shit they're saying, the
thank
Evergreen,
you.
it's fake.
I know.
It's fake. I'm just saying. I had somebody look into it that I trust, and I'm just saying. You're laughing. I just want everybody to know out there that it is a thing. It is a thing. And so it started popping. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. You're on a roll, bro. Go.
I'll tell y'all that the deal with that ship, okay, is this, folks. 2 days before, we placed sanctions on 2 minor Chinese people that really don't mean crap, so Joe Biden could gloat about it and say, hey, I did something against China. It really didn't mean anything. What the EU did was place sanctions the next day against members of the CCP. China fired back and said, we're going to place sanctions against the EU, and they did. 4 hours later, that ship got stuck. Period.
And before it happened, the captain drew a dick in the water. Did you see that? That ship drew a penis in the water on GPS. It's there. I'll share the link if you guys didn't see it. He drew a penis in the water and then went into Suez and blocked
sanctions,
it.
Man. Hey, it's sanctions, man. It's economic warfare. And where we go from here, what we're doing now is we're being collapsed from within, and then they're going to come in and take us over militarily. That's where we're at.
Which is why they're spending money through the nose. Like we're 30 trillion in debt now, and they just keep pumping the trillions. They keep losing the trillions.
If UN.org would stay up long enough and you could look up the information without them booting you out or shutting it down on you, especially if you try to live stream, they know it. They just shut it down so you can't live stream from it. Even though it's your tax dollars at work contributed from your country and it's supposed to be free and public access, they like to play games over there, okay? And what you'll find out is over the next 10 years, the American Armed Forces and the world's armed forces are going to be reduced down to almost nothing. They're just going to be security forces. The United Nations will have control of a multinational army like they do now, but it will be 100% control. And it won't be an American general or president in charge of those forces or police that police the world. That's what we are facing. Those are the protocols that were being discussed in Alaska between China and America. and why they called Alaska neutral territory. Alaska is their new Shangri-La. They want the territory of Alaska. They have asked for the territory of Alaska in exchange for death. That's why there's a mad scramble to replace politicians in Alaska right now. There's this huge rush in the last couple days that has everything to do with Alaska continuing to be a state in the next 10 years, because it's probably not going to be. You're going to be looking at free trade zones, what they call free trade zones. That's why they said you're not going to own anything and you're going to like it.
That's the
Remember Klaus Schwab, the Nazi.
Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, you're not going to own anything and you're going to like it.
World Economic
That's what's coming
Forum.
your way.
Check it out, guys. Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. He said that. He said they basically that it's part of the New World Order. Basically, I think it's the Great Reset is what that's called. Is that everything's going to be leased or rented, and it's just going to be how we roll from now on. Which again, right? It is literally it just cuts down on your right to living free. It's literally an attack on freedom. It's awful. It's awful. Tim, let's finish this up, man. You were again spitting hot fire as you always do. Can you do me a really big favor, please? Can you just call more? Can you just call more? It's good shit, man.
Yeah,
you got some good shit. I shouldn't have to beg you to call. You're spitting hot fire in the chat. Just fucking call and tell us. Just call and tell us, man. You literally make this show 100% better every time you call. So please do. Just freaking call us.
All right, sure will.
Thank you. Let's finish up.
Don't mind a bit.
Let's finish this up.
I like to get to the bottom of the truth, y'all. I wish a lot of this stuff was real. I really do. I love sci-fi. I'm into it probably worse. I'm the biggest Star Wars fan you ever see. I want a lot of this to be more real than any of you, trust me. But I've known since a kid about a lot of things, man, thanks to my father. And just there's some things where we have to put the brakes on and understand that if we're being pounded with it, there's a reason why, and it's from the same sources that will lie to you and that have lied to us in the past 6 months extremely hard. And then now it's like they're begging forgiveness. Well, no, we're just going to put Tucker on 6 more hours a week, like that'll change the world. To have Tucker Carlson on 6 more hours on another
more
show.
Propaganda.
Like that's going to put the Band-Aid on my bullet wounds and make them any better, ladies and gentlemen.
You were correct. Exactly. And again, guys, listen, if you're getting your news from CNN or Fox News, you are broken and wrong. Stop. Just stop. Literally turn it off and stop. I probably don't have to tell any of you.
Shout out
here. Go ahead.
To Conspiracy Music Guru's brand new song. You need to check it out. It's worth going to check out his page. He's on iTunes. He's on all the music platforms, Spotify, but he has a Facebook account, Conspiracy Music Guru, and look at his brand new song. It's a heavy metal song, and it's about people who get their news from the TV. You will love the lyrics. Listen close to what he's got to say in the lyrics. And then the song right after that is a song called I Told You So. Listen to that one, too. You will laugh, but he's telling you the truth. You know, it's like 101 for dummies on applying some logic and reason to what we're actually looking at and seeing. You know, we got to quit thinking with emotion, and that's everything we see on the news today is thinking with emotion. Even our politicians now are getting up and saying stuff in Washington, and it's all based on emotion. Logical thought has went out the window, and it's the end of humanity if we don't get it back. It really is, man. It's a communism and socialism is a self-reducing system of paranoia. If you lay it out as a mathematical problem, they know this. They know this. That's why it never works in any simulation, and it doesn't work in real life, and it never will. And everybody that ever tries it always says, well, I can do better than the last time they did it, they didn't do it for real. No, they have done it for real. It never works because it's a system that only rewards paranoia. If you can understand where I'm coming from with that, you do a little bit of reading. If you read Karl Marx. If you read a lot of stuff written by people who grew up in those systems and then moved to a free country and know what they're talking about. You can't get it from another American. You got to get it from the source. And it's an eye-opener.
Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Our actual thing. Oh shit. Hold on. Our thing died. Here we go. There you go. All right, we're calling it back. Hold on. Don't go anywhere, Tim. You got cut off. All right, here we go. This is what it sounds like when we get cut off mid Tim rant.
Video web interface.
All right, here we go.
Show recording is on. Dual channel.
The same exact speech worldwide. And that video played on Facebook for a while until they took it down. And once they took mine down, other people seen mine and made a compilation very similar of the same speeches that were given worldwide. And it happened within a week's period of time. And most of the public at large worldwide does not realize that happened. And they were the same exact speeches. They were carbon copies. Trump's speech was no different to us than what the president of North Korea, Volkut Jr., told his people. Go look it up. That compilation video is still up on YouTube. You can check it out. Tons of people have it up still.
Okay,
they take it down. People put it back up.
If you have a link to that, please share it. We'll put it on the video here. Hey, you know how awesome you are. You got cut off because the phone line dropped. And I was like, shit, we cut off Tim in the middle of a rant. And then I called back and got the phone line back up, and you were still ranting, bro. You were still going. I was like, holy shit. He didn't even notice. He's still going. Tim, you were the best, my friend. Yeah. We're done. No, too much truth, man. Too much truth. Can you please plug your channel? You got a D-Live channel going on. You got a podcast happening. Yeah. I'm telling you, I mean it. If you need help, let me know. Go ahead.
Tinfoil Timothy on D-Live. I do a couple, there's some games that I like to play too. But they hold videos for like 3 days on there. I'm waiting to hear back from them to see if they're going to hold them for 45 on me. You got to get to a certain level on D-Live before they'll start doing that. But they actually, I think they're going to start offering as a paid service. If you pay a little bit, they'll let you keep your videos longer. I point blank asked them, hey, if I shot y'all X amount of dollars a month, would you hold my videos for like 45 days so I can build my channel? And so I'm waiting a response from them. But,
okay. All right. If you need help,
out. It's no frills, man. My last show, I'm reading from a book that was written by a guy that grew up in a small German town from 1930 to 1935. He was a German American, and he tells the story of how the Nazis took over. And I've been reading excerpts from that book because it's precisely the playbook that's being used on us right now, word for word.
Exactly, yeah, and history repeats, and like the Marxists don't want you to know these things because they're using it, right? Everything's racist, right? You have to burn everything down because everything's racist. I know I just triggered you. You're gonna start a rant. We're done though. Check it out, please, Tim. Please call back more. We need more Tim in this show. You're the best. Everybody follow Tim, Tinfoil Timothy on D-Live. Go follow him if you're there. He needs some follows to make sure we get. We plump up the people that are speaking the truth. You were the best, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Mike. Y'all have a good night.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you for calling. There you go, guys. We are finished. But this is the thing, right? All of this, it is just like you said, right? Like maybe all of this Mars crap is just a bunch of BS, and we're all just we're bending over backwards and doing ourselves the bad dirty, and it's just not good. This is not good. There's too many other things going on, and like I said, I'm not shitting you. The dude, the captain of that Evergreen ship, he drew a dick in the water. It's verified on GPS tracking. He drew a dick and balls in the water, and then he drove into the Suez Canal, or floated, and then he jammed that MFR up, right? Like, it's like, dude, like, and then I'm not so sure that that was just a rage quit. I think that just like Tim was saying, I think there may be some. Oh yeah, you want a sanction? Here's a sanction. We'll sanction 10% of the world's commerce by sticking our boat in there sideways. You see, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Definitely. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Again, we started with Mars and we ended with the Suez Canal. What can you do? I don't know. Here's the deal. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to be talking about, of course, all the things, right? You know what all things are. It's going to be aliens, Conspiracy of the Paranormal. We're going to have Ash on 7 p.m. Thursday, we will have Penny Bunny. Penny will be on the show with me, and we will have Joe from Florida calling in. We're going to be talking about the glitch in the Matrix and those things. A little bit of CERN action, a little bit of that going on. You guys are into this? There's a lot happening, right? There's a lot of, a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of reality, a little bit of all the things combined, and you get great callers like we get, and there's a lot of truth. A lot of truth here too. It's again, it's up to you to decide what's what. I don't know the difference. I don't really know. There you go. CERN, the Mandela effect, all the rest of that stuff. And the glitch in the Matrix. We're going to be talking about that on Thursday. We'll have Penny Bunny on the show. Tomorrow we'll have Ash, the Reptilian. And tonight we had you, if you called in tonight. Yeah, sick, right? I don't know. I don't have those answers. It's a scary world. And it's worth thinking about. It's worth talking about because the future depends on us right now. And I'm not kidding about that. I'm not kidding. I truly believe that's the case. And that's why we do this show. To hear the truth. To get to the truth. And I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I do know we're trying to tip the boat over. And once the boat tips, we're all treading water in a treacherous ocean. See? Too many S's and T's in one sentence. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, right? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening, guys. You're all the best. Thanks for all the calls. Great stuff tonight. And yeah, I think Tim may be right. Werner von Braun was doing rockets in the 50s and 60s. And now we're like freaking out, celebrating Elon for doing rockets. And it's 2021. Holy shit. All right, guys, we're done. At the end, we'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific. Be sure, be strong, be true. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm me, you're you. Together, we're better. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. That name was Jimmy Roberts, the real Jimmy Roberts 1. I'm going to share that YouTube. We're asking. Hold on. Hang tight 1 sec. I got the link. Hold on. You guys want more Mars stuff? The real Jimmy Roberts 1. We're going to go past the music just to get this link up. Hold on 1 sec. I got it. Here we go. Going past the music just to make sure the chat gets the requested link that we talked about. Hold on 1 sec. And we're done. There you go. The end of it, we're done. Where the hell is the real Jimmy Roberts 1? Hold on. Here it is. Here is his actual channel. Check it out. Dropping it in there. There you go. There it is. There he goes. If you guys want this, you have it now. Go take a look and see what he's talking about. See what he's talking about. Again, thanks, guys, for the great calls. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, as we end. It feels weird not doing that music. Brr, 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 brr. The end. Okay, we're out. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Have a good night. Behave. Don't do anything terrible to your neighbors because there are people just like you. All right, see you tomorrow night.